Hello there, bitch. Are you comfortable right now? I doubt it. Wrists and ankles chained, gagged, probably blindfolded. You are disoriented and scared too, I would imagine. Perfectly normal under the circumstances. For a little while at least, you need to get your shit together and listen to this tape. It is very relevant to your situation. I'm going to tell you in detail why you have been kidnapped, what's going to happen to you, and how long you're going to be here. You are obviously here against your will. Totally helpless. Don't know where you're at. Don't know what's going to happen to you. You are very scared or pissed off. I'm sure you've already tried to get your wrists and ankles loose and know that you can't. Now you're just waiting to see what's going to happen next. You probably think you're going to be raped. And you're fucking sure right about that. Our primary interest is in what you've got between your legs. You'll be raped thoroughly and repeatedly in every hole you've got. Welcome to Color Me Dead.
March 22nd, 1999, a retired couple by the name of Darlene and Donald Breach were in their little trailer. Donald would be out back, and he would be watering his lawn and tending to his yard, much like old people do. And Darlene was in the kitchen when a young, frantic woman would burst into their home, grab Darlene by the arms, and would not let go. Darlene would describe what she saw. This woman's wrists looked like hamburger meat. Her long, brown hair was matted with blood. She was filthy and looked like she had defecated herself at one point. She was naked except for a metal dog collar that was padlocked to her neck and 4 feet of chain was attached to it. She had bruises literally from head to toe and her breasts were nothing but black and blue. This young woman would say how she had been held by a man and a woman for 3 days and that her name was Cindy Vahil, and today the man left for work. She was chained to the wall while the woman was watching soap operas and on the couch. There was a key she managed to get and free herself, but the woman saw it and hit her over the head with a glass lamp. They struggled and she eventually, Cindy, would stab the woman in the back of the neck and jumped out of the window and ended up here. Cindy would leave Darlene's side only to go lock the doors and say that they were probably looking for her. Darlene would call the police, and when they show up, Cindy all but threw herself into their arms. When they asked who, she said David Parker Ray and Cindy Hendy. The police would then find and arrest the duo less than a block away from the Breach residence, and in the little town of Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, was going to change from a little snowbird town to a media frenzy.
Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hello. Color Me Dead, episode 20.
So welcome, everybody, to another fun-filled episode.
Color Me Dead.
I wonder how we would be received if we did this entire thing just like, and then he drug her outside by the nape of her neck and stabbed her multiple times.
It's also just slow and serious.
Because there's an actual podcast that I listen to literally to fall asleep to.
Oh, yeah.
That's what the guy sounds like. So I wonder how people would receive that if it was just like, this is how I'm going to do it for the entire happy little mistakes.
Welcome to Color Me Dead, Toy Box, part 1 of 3.
I don't know.
Please turn your books to
other than almost fucking dying over the holiday weekend, how was it?
It's okay. Yeah.
Don't tell me. Oh, sugarcoater. I feel really bad.
I watched Guardians of Galaxy Part 2 and laughed my fucking ass off.
Dude, there's Netflix. Go watch Death Note.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that.
It's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
I got to a point last night where I was literally perched on my coffee table because I was so into it.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot
Very nice.
There's a lot of things
not
on Netflix.
The anime.
No, I know.
The anime one, yeah, because I've watched the anime, but the movie is actually really good.
Yeah. But we watched part 2 last night, and it was so funny. Just because it was parts that don't mean to be funny, but they're hilarious.
That's kind of how Norseman, the Netflix series, that is such the stupidest, Benny Hill / Monty Python comedy, and I laugh my ass off.
Oh, yeah. So. When you get a giant Pac-Man in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and when that came out, my oldest lost his fucking mind. We had to pause it so he could collect himself. Oh. He was so excited, and he's like, we need to watch it again. He's like, that's the funniest thing ever. And I was like,
Drax in that entire thing just kills me, dude, when he's
You're
like
hideous. You're pretty on the inside.
when he reaches over and she touches him and he's like, ha, 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 ha. And she starts laughing too, and they're both pointing and laughing.
I love it when he's like, I'm sorry, I've tried to let you off easy, but I can't be like romantic with you or whatever. And she's like, no, that's not. And he starts like gagging. And she's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm thinking about being with you physically. This hideous bug thing is now my friend. Like, it was those parts.
Yeah.
I was laughing so hard. So I'm sorry if I ruined that for people that haven't watched it yet. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, fuck.
It's out on
We
video.
should, like... I know, right? It's in a red
shit.
box. Like, fuck off.
Yeah. I can't.
Mary.
I can't. Anyways.
So, the Toy Box Killer, and if you guys are not familiar with this person, it's funny that they actually call him a serial killer because...
there hasn't been any official,
like, confirmed
baddies. But
there's plenty of evidence that suggests he's done some pretty heinous shit. And we will dribble that into your ear holes with Fuckery Most Foul by Emperor and Angel.
yeah, it's going to be a little bit of some ear rape. So.
Which we'll get into it later.
Yeah.
I'll make a fucking note of it.
Okay, yeah, because he is by far, so far, one of the worst people I've read about. Like, when I actually sat down, when we got into the meat of things from the different books and shit like that I had read, I was like, fuck this guy. I can usually handle quite a bit.
So, he has no confirmed bodies. However, at one point in time, he was suspected to be West Mesa body dumper.
Yes.
Was he not?
Yes.
What are your thoughts? Well, the timeline feels a little off, but
yeah, the timeline is off. When they first found the bone collector spot, the West Mesa body pit, they for sure were like, this has to be David Parker Ray. But then when they started dating, when the women had passed away, it had been after David Parker Ray had already died. So that's why that went to shit, which made me sad. Well, not... You know what I mean.
I get shit. Well, it would have made us happy to know that.
To get that kind of
closure on
both things.
On everything.
Yeah.
Because, there's got to be some fucking little lost lambs that he's...
Oh, yeah, and he's talked about it. And so it's just...
So let's tell these people who this motherfucker is.
Yes. So David Parker Ray, along with his girlfriend Cindy Hindy, and his daughter Glinda Jean, or Jessie Ray.
Why did she go by Jessie Ray? Is it... All right.
Yep.
Well, I guess I would too if my name was Glenda Jean. And no offense to anybody named Glenda, I just don't...
Right.
Like the name.
It's not my favorite. And Dennis Roy Yancey. And they would become big names within the town of Truth or Consequences. So, before we get into everything that happened, we already played the little audio, and that's the same audio that David Parker Ray would play for his victims.
And you guys are going to get a lot of that.
Yeah.
And so when you have nightmares about it, you can go back and thank us both.
You can blame us. It's fine.
It's fine.
I'm just going to pass it on
just as
to our listeners who demanded this one.
Right? Jessica, here you go.
It's not our fault.
This is what you're getting. But when I first started learning about this one, and I actually went and listened to some of the audio that was recorded by a different person on like YouTube, I got to the end of it. My vagina was drier than a sandbox. My butthole was puckered up so tight, I'm pretty sure it touched the back of my throat. Like, I had to go and sit in the living room and watch The Little Mermaid to feel better about some things. So,
right. And then we went above and beyond and found other audio that was never released, that was just read about. But, we're going to have somebody read it that isn't us. So it keeps with that fucked up tone.
I think people will rather enjoy who is reading it. We'll keep that secret for a minute.
For a minute. Anyways, so before we go into everything, we always have to go to where it all starts. So we're going to tell you a little bit about baby David Parker Ray.
Born November 6th of 1939 to parents Cecil and Nettie Ray. I feel like I need a pair of parakeets named Cecil and Nettie.
Right.
Anyway, sorry. And this was on kind of the cusp of history because he was actually born like right at the end of the Great Depression, coming into World War II.
Right. And I want to give credit where credit is due. A lot of information that we found was not only on different researches, but also from the book Slow Death by Jim Fields. And there was also another book, and I will get into it when I can brainificate that, because my brain is still a little broken. And
Ember was on the cusp of death.
I was.
All weekend.
I was.
So if her spark plugs start misfiring and she fucking needs, I don't know if I can turn her off and turn her back on and see if that helps.
Unplug it, plug it back in.
Fucking shake it a little.
Right, we'll see.
Slap the top.
So if,
like a busted TV.
So if I randomly shout things, it's because my brain is finally like, we're here.
She's like, fucking mahogany. Farfignugan. Like, whoa, dude, wrong fucking episode. Where are you?
I don't know.
I don't feel good.
Oh, shit.
Okay, so he was actually born in kind of like a strange time in history where we were coming out of what seemed to be the worst time and moving into like another worst fucking time in American history. And they were really poor. They actually lived with his mother's parents on a small farm in Belen, New Mexico. And he had a couple of siblings, didn't he?
No, it was just him. He was the oldest of the two. There was him.
Oh, you're right. And Peggy.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm thinking of something different.
Right. No.
Sorry.
You're probably thinking of the other case.
Yeah.
Okay. So David's father, Cecil, was probably, I can assume, like how most parent men were during that time. If you think about that time in history, kind of abusive,
heavy-handed,
drunk.
Which I fucking y'all are so poor that you have to live with her mom and dad, but you can afford fucking
whiskey,
moonshine,
right?
You fucking riding the white lightning all the way into your kid's bedroom and just fucking them up all the time,
right?
All right.
I mean, and he was always known for lashing out at the family, and so David, of course, like many kids within that era, he probably received the most of it. Not only is he the oldest, but he's also the boy.
The only boy.
Right. And
well, and I think things were a lot like the raising of children and the way that they were punished and the way that they were dealt with is quite a bit different from the way, like even 20, 30 years ago, but especially back then where it was like a leather strap in the fucking woodshed.
Yeah, like you have a child to do your work for you.
Right.
That's
like you essentially reproduce to make the workload easier for you, not just to fucking have a like legacy.
Right, and you expect little children to be like little fucking workhorses. So there was that.
That's why Willy Wonka had dwarves.
So after amount of time, Cecil, the dad, he ends up leaving when David was around 10. And I'm not really 100% sure on what happens with Nettie, his mom.
Right.
But after Cecil left, she obviously couldn't handle the responsibility.
But then she like took him and fucking shipped him off to the ex-husband's parents.
Yes.
Which I kind of feel maybe was a bad idea. Like if Cecil was heavy-handed and not a great father, then he probably learned that from another not great father.
Right.
Who was Ethan Ray, who was kind of like a crusty old dude who believed in laying the hand upon the face. Yeah.
If he was also that kind of old man where if you didn't follow his rules,
you got your ass kicked.
She was going to go down.
But it was Peggy and David. So he did not differentiate between male, female, who was older, who was younger. Didn't even matter.
Here's
who actually
my field of fucks.
Yeah.
See upon it that it is barren.
See thy field of fucks, and that nothing groweth there.
That was Ethan Ray.
God, that's unfortunate. Despite all of that, David, who was now 12 years old, was a very shy boy who didn't believe in violence but was often bullied. And a childhood friend, her name was Audie Miranda, would talk about a time when David was swarmed with bullies. They were like pulling his hair, kicking his ass, and she would have to step in and stick up for him. And they became pretty close after that. And that's what she would kind of describe him as like an outdoorsy kid. Like he didn't want to be indoors. He wanted, and maybe that was just to get the fuck away from the creepy, abusive, like adults in the picture.
Well, and if you look at David Parker Ray, even when he was like an old man through the trial, I mean, he's kind of a lanky piece of shit looking kid or old man. So I could only imagine.
Yeah, like
you put him pre-puberty and he probably was like a string bean with fucking eyeballs. So
and acne.
Lots
just
of
like,
acne.
Oh yeah, but she would say that he liked to he enjoyed collecting rocks and fossils, and he enjoyed his time outside. He also David didn't fit into the triad, so he didn't do bedwetting, he didn't abuse animals, he didn't set fires. So where along the line he started like that switch started flipping, I don't know.
I don't either. Anyways, so around 13 is when David's grandparents gave him a Cushman pacemaker, like
Motor scooter. Motorbike,
a little scooter.
I want to ride my little motorbike.
I like to ride my bicycle.
And
he had like a natural mechanic. He would tear it
found
apart.
a hobby. Like, I'm going to take it apart, I'm going to put it back together, which is very reminiscent of my own brother with electronics. Ronnie would tear things apart, put them back together, and take them apart again, and make them better. So, yeah, dude, I get that.
I appreciate that. So, with him doing that, things started to get a little bit better for David because those kids that used to bully him were now like, fuck yeah, can you help me out with my shit? So... But they were pretty much just
kids are just assholes, dude. Like, oh my god, look, you can make things work. Make it work. I'll be your friend.
Yeah, sorry I fucking pushed you down earlier, but can you help me?
Pulled your hair and kicked you in the ass.
And he was nice. He fixed their bikes. I wouldn't have.
I don't understand. This guy doesn't make sense to me. Because David would then grow into kind of being like this tall, shy, just... awkward kind of kid. And, you know, he had a hard time fitting in, even though he was still making friends. He had a lot of acne. He had a hard time talking to girls.
We all know this kid in high school.
Oh, there was one in every high school. I hope they're not all doing the same things
David did.
Yeah.
Right? Fuck. Hopefully you grew up to be normal.
Oh my god.
Shit.
Did something else.
That's why I
coached fucking soccer.
Right? That's why I always tried not to be a complete cunt to people. Because I'm like...
I would say I'm willing to bet that there's at least one person out there murdering people that look exactly like me because I was such a bitch in high school that he's out there killing people, strangling them, being like, fuck you, Prue. For real.
Probably.
Ask your cousin Co.
Co, do you have some explaining to do? Not me. I try to be nice to people because I'm like, one day somebody's going to snap and I want them to look at me and be like, you're cool. And
oh my god.
Like me.
Like that scene out of fucking Billy Madison where, what's his name? Fucking scratches his name off the lipstick list.
Yeah.
Oh god. It's Buscemi. Steve Buscemi. Dude, and that was beautiful. And then he rubbed lipstick all over his mouth and just like laid back, like caressing himself.
Yep.
Maybe I should have been nicer. Fuck.
It's okay. You're making up for it now by just calling other pieces of shit cunts instead.
Okay, fair enough.
This is karma. We're trying to earn those karma points back.
Let me be a better person by picking on somebody that deserves it.
Right.
God. So he was kind of shy. He like shied away from the girls. He was like an average D student, which he was smart in some ways because clearly he could do some mechanical shit, but it was obvious that he wasn't doing well in school.
Well, and what's funny is back in that time, if a girl would talk to him, he would go like fucking tomato red.
Yeah.
Like super shy around women, which is fucked when you get into what happens.
Right.
I don't understand.
I don't either. And so this one's completely bizarre to me. I feel like there's something somewhere. Did he bump his head and go without oxygen for a minute? Because it just doesn't, fucking add up, dude. It doesn't math.
It doesn't. Explain it.
Explain it. So he didn't play sports or anything, but he did play the trumpet. And so I kind of feel like maybe sadomasochists and brass players...
Right? I mean, we've covered another Sado that also enjoyed fucking the brass instruments.
The trombone.
We got trumpets and rusty trombones. What's up, guys?
And so...
Side-eye everybody in band.
I know, right?
I actually... Hold on. I have a story about band.
Me right.
Because I was in band once.
Okay.
And there was this one kid.
Were you really?
Yeah. I played the clarinet for like 4 years.
Oh, I think I knew that.
Yeah. But there was this one kid. I hated him. And I don't know why. It was one of those, he gave me the Rifkins. Like, I just didn't like him.
He gave me the Rifkins. He walked in the room and I was like, God damn it, there he is.
There he is. And one time he sat down, but he had his trumpet on the chair and he sat on his trumpet and he fucking bent it.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
He
was a hefty.
Was he a weighty child?
He was. Not that I had any room to talk because back then I was also...
I've always been a hefty hoe.
But I remember laughing hysterically at that kid that day. So I don't know what happened to that kid. And now I feel bad for saying that because he's probably also...
He's somewhere fucking beating somebody to death with a goddamn trumpet.
But to be fair, I didn't really like anybody in there except for my best friend, Kea, who was in there. Everybody else, especially the band teacher, fucking hated him. And he had one wandering eye, the one eye that likes to go for walks. He had a lazy eye. And one time he was talking to me, trying to tell me to be quiet. But if he was looking, like if I'm looking at you, he was looking like 2 students over to the left.
And you're like that scene out of fucking Moana. Pick an eye, sweetie. Nope, look at one. Pick one.
Right. And so he's talking, and I look at him, and I'm like, oh, are you talking to me? And he's like, yeah, I'm talking to you. And I was like, it would help if you could look at me. And then I was like, oh my God.
I did it. I said it out loud.
I'm a fucking asshole. So anyways, yeah, side-eye everybody in the brass section. Just saying.
And we don't really have things against people that have wandering eyeballs. It would just help if you would look at us.
No.
Maybe cover one and turn your head.
Yeah, I was a cunt. I think I was like 13, 14.
Oh, I know I was an awful person when I was a teenager, but
Anyways.
That's beside the point. Because I'm a lot better now, and I think I'm pretty personable, and I think I've come a long way. And you know what? I'll go ahead and admit that, you know what? Maybe it was just my own insecurities that made me lash out on you, or maybe it was just fun for me. I'm thinking it was a little both.
It's probably a 50-50. But so, David was also that kid that was acne, shy, awkward,
button-up
band,
shirts,
all the way
to the very tippy top,
the very tip button,
the uncomfortable button that nobody buttons,
that fucking chokes you a little bit. Yeah,
the one that reminds you that I don't like this.
Strangulation is real.
Maybe that's where it all started.
Maybe. Fucking... That's a good point, though. I mean...
Like, his grandma just came in and buttoned it all the way to the top and choked him a little bit, and he got a little excited and was like, this is it. This is it. This is what I want. God. So, and he did spend a lot of time alone, which would make sense. You know what I mean? He didn't have brothers. He had his one sister. He didn't have a lot of friends until everybody started coming to him for mechanical what-the-whats. So it was in this alone time that he started drinking and doing drugs. And this is noted that this is where his love for sadomasochism comes into play.
Right. Because he liked to inflict pain or humiliation. And now some sadomasochism can be consensual. It only shifts into a clinical paraphilia when it becomes extreme and is no longer consensual. And that is that's exactly what David liked.
Like, he liked the rapey aspect of S&M.
And if the girl liked it, it's a boner killer for him. So it had to be...
Which we'll talk about that later, too.
Yeah.
So around this time, he starts doing the drugs. He starts drinking, and this is when his, fantasies start kicking in, the rapey torture
And he becomes a storyteller, much like many people.
Yeah.
Because he would also tell anybody that the singer Johnny Ray was his cousin, which was a total lie. So he liked to dive into any sort of fantasy. Now, why he couldn't just play some, Dungeons and Dragons or something that isn't fucking terrible? Why he couldn't do some positive shit with his fantasy? I mean, that's why we have so many great fucking comic books. I wouldn't be able to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy 2 if somebody didn't have some fucking fantasy imagination shit, but he just went fucking rapey tortury with it.
I love that you throw out Dungeons and Dragons, because all I can think about is maybe I should tell Spencer he's not allowed to play anymore.
No, he does things for good. It's fine.
He slays orcs and ogres. It's okay.
Out of anybody in the entire planet who could, if they were real, it would be fucking Spencer.
You know what, though? He's such a gentle giant.
I know.
Everybody sees him and they're like, holy shit. And I'm like, really? Because he's a puppy.
No, I know. But if it came down to if a fucking orc walked in for some reason, everybody would be like, Spencer, slay it!
Get it. This
Get
is
it,
you.
Mountain. You're fucking enormous. You're the only one that can do this for us.
Oh my God, I snorted. So Dr. Anderson, who actually also studied Ted Bundy as well, talked about these fantasies, and it says it usually comes from a child's way to cope. And so I'm curious if, because his dad was such a heavy-handed piece of shit, and then so was his grandpa, was he under the impression that pain and suffering was
how you show affection?
Or,
I don't know. And the fact that his mom was, goodbye.
Right?
I can't fucking adult.
Maybe he had some mommy issues as well.
Obviously.
Because fantasies give them an escape, and it depends on how they have them to control the feelings. So maybe that was a way for him to have control over
his world.
Right.
Yeah, that's my guess.
I'm in control. I can humiliate you. You don't humiliate me.
Well, and we talked about before that often fantasy and stuff is a way to cope. Like with Mary Vincent liking...
Oh, right. The way that she does...
and stuff like that.
Yeah, where she can imagine that she still has both hands and... Yeah.
So, but his just was, instead of being cool with some shit, his was, I want to have control over other people by making them feel the exact same way I felt my whole life. I don't
know, because his little sister actually was fiddle fucking around in his room one day and found some I believe they were drawings.
Drawings.
Drawings. My name is David and I like to do drawings. So, but they were fucked up. They were like, he was journaling, keeping
detailed,
descriptive drawings of some of his fantasies. And she found him and was like, yo, what the fuck is this?
Why is this bitch tied up like a fucking hog?
I know. Yeah, dude, there were some things that and he was like, it's just kind of like a new hobby of mine. Like, tried to play it off like, haha, no big deal. It's totally normal for teenage boys to draw fucking half-dead women being pillaged and raped.
Yeah, no big deal.
And so she, after that, she dropped it. She was like, fuck it. And she just walked away from it. Like, I'm not going to talk about this shit anymore.
Which also makes me think that obviously there was already a point of even her being afraid of him because she never, ever, ever, ever mentioned it. And
did she ever talk to media or, because that part I don't know.
No, not really.
Okay.
I know that she was there when he got his sentence, and she even stood by him during that time. She's never talked about anything, which is just, I don't know. And I wish she would, because then David Parker Ray fucking killed over and died before he could tell me all of his fucking secrets. And it upsets me.
Well, I know where all his secrets are.
I do.
They're just not made available for us.
I know.
We need to find that warehouse, and I don't know how the fuck I would get in there.
Right? I need clearance.
I need a raccoon, 2 years to train it, a backpack, and I need to know where this warehouse is, where all the FBI secret shitsy are.
Right? FBI, I just need to know what I need to do to get some clearance, because I just want to look at some things. I have some questions.
One thing. Okay, maybe multiple things.
Okay, all the things. One thing is the most important.
This one, so far, is on the top of the list of things that I need to see that you won't let me see.
Please let me see it. Let me take a peek. But I don't know if I want to, though, because
dude, it would be one of those things where you would fucking read it, and then you would go home and
not be okay.
Pull some Event Horizon shit and pull your eyes out of your head, because you wanted to stop seeing it.
Right. So David Parker Ray would later say that when he was about 15, so that makes it 1954-ish, that he had already made a private dungeon under a pinyon pine, that he had a hangman's noose and a collection of broken beer bottles, because one of his fantasies was raping women with broken beer bottles. That's extreme.
Do you know one time that one of my friends actually had a guy that was stalking her and got a very illicit message stuffed in her mailbox saying that he wanted to rape her with a hot curling iron?
Oh, gross.
Yeah, dude. So I think some people just need gently, or not so gently, fucking set on fire and maybe put in an ant pile. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Who fucking comes up with that? I want to rape somebody with a broken beer bottle or a hot curling iron.
A fucked up person.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
But on the flip side of that, I would like to take people like David Parker Ray, and I would shove a hot curling iron up his asshole with no problems. So,
do you really think you could pull that off? In your heart of hearts, do you really think you could pull that off?
If I could tie him down, spread his cheeks, and then you just shove it in. You don't have to be gentle. It's gonna burn no matter what.
So what you're saying is we need that board.
I need the board from Dean Coral.
Yep.
I need a fucking vat of acid from Acid Bath.
Yep.
I got shit to do.
Jesus Christ, on the cross.
Okay, anyways. So when he would get bored.
This is the best part.
I don't understand it.
But I love it. Like this, I giggled so fucking long over this.
Yeah.
Tell them.
Because when he was 15 and he would get bored and he was fantasizing about raping bitches with beer bottles, broken ones. When he couldn't do that anymore, he'd be like, all right, under this little pinyon pine, I'm going to dig a hole to which I'm going to literally fuck the earth. Did he at least pour some water in there so it's like a mud hole, or was it just raw fucking...
Maybe that's what he wanted, was scratchy fucking rocks and grit and fucking tree roots, and I don't know. But
could you imagine walking in on that?
Could you? Could you imagine?
Just hiking through?
Just walking around.
A 15-year-old kid fucking the ground right there.
Fucking just banging ball sack into the ground.
Going balls deep into Mother Earth right now.
Oh, no. Okay, that was like literally my favorite part.
Which also made me laugh hysterically, because did you ever watch that documentary of Unhung Hero?
Oh, yeah.
where the guy had a micro penis and he's talking to this one like super hippie bitch that was talking about basically making love with Mother Earth, and she's humping the ground and trying to make him do the same thing. That's all. I was like,
Or that, oh, fuck, that was such a good documentary. Or that scene out of fucking Good Luck Chuck, where his friend is like massaging his asshole with a dishwasher thingy and he's humping a warm grapefruit. Look away! Don't you judge me!
Yep.
That kind of shit. I'm just like, whatever, dude, whatever works. Maybe he should have kept fucking humping things in the ground instead of what he does do, because later he would actually get married. And he would tell his wife when they were still engaged that in his teen years, he committed his first murder. Now, this isn't really substantiated.
Right. But I'm pretty sure if my fiance was like, hey, when I was a teen, I murdered a bitch, I'd be like,
I used to think about shanking pussies with broken beer bottles while I fucked rocky things. I would be like,
well, I fucked a tree stump. It was a great time.
Best time ever. I don't think I would stay engaged to that person anymore. Like, if somebody told me that, I'd be like, oh,
I appreciate our time together.
Did you know that I'm also a lesbian? And I just realized that today. So,
as you were saying that, I was like, do you know what I could go for? Some hot puss.
I would love to just dive right into somebody's minge right now.
Right now. I no longer want your fucking Mother Earth dick. I'm gonna have to pass Mr. Groot.
Oh my God. So he actually told her that he tied her to a tree, tortured her, and then finally killed her. And she fucking decided to hang around. There wasn't any evidence to support that this actually took place. But you fucking still stuck around? Didn't that Mayday.
Right. And I mean, it could be bullshit. It could be part of his fantasy. But later when we find out everything that he does, I mean, is that out of his realm of possibilities?
No,
absolutely.
I don't think it's that far-fetched.
No.
In the grand scheme of things.
Now, while he lived with his grandparents, he only saw his dad a couple of times. And each time ended with his dad showing up, getting drunk, beating the shit out of him, and leaving. And he never really saw his mom.
Fun.
So he had no relationship with his mom. And everybody else was abusive and stupid. Great.
Everybody in his family, though.
Yeah.
Your mom fucking abandoned you, your dad beat you, your grandpa beat you.
Generations of pieces of shit.
Awesome.
It should have been aborted.
We should have just
generations back.
Yeah, we should have just showed up at their fucking family plot and been line up.
Is your last name Ray? Are you pregnant? Let me get a coat hanger. I'll be right back. Fucking, I'm from the future. I got shit to...
I'm sorry. Do you want to stand at the top of these stairs? I have something I've got to show you.
We're going to go for a trip. You ready for your fall?
Yes, that.
Yes.
Because it just seems like all of them had...
And it could have been that weird time in history that we talked about, but I mean, there's other people that came out okay.
Not everybody thumped the fuck out of their children, you know what I mean? My grandma and grandpa were born in the same, you know what I mean?
Time.
And they weren't physically and fucking mentally and emotionally fucking tortured, so...
Yeah, this is why we have the don't beat the shit out of your kids laws, because in the most extreme cases, you get a little David Parker Ray on your hands.
Your kids turn out to be fucked up little psychopaths.
Little psychopaths. No amount of band is going to save them from that.
So then in David's senior year of high school, 1957, his grandmother was actually...
She passed away.
Yeah, she passed away.
And with that, he was pulled out of school mid-semester and without graduating high school. And I believe he was sent to live with his mom, who had moved to Albuquerque, but that doesn't make any sense considering he never had a relationship with his mom.
No.
And Peggy ended up staying in the same place, but she moved off the ranch and she lived with a family friend to finish out high school.
Which doesn't surprise me. I wouldn't want to live with my granddad either if he was a fucking handsy piece of shit.
Yeah, well, and I don't know, and I can't say, so this is speculation, but with David Parker Ray and his obsession with controlling and tying people down and raping them, it makes me wonder if that kind of abuse was inflicted on him. Because that's what happens in most cases.
It's like a learned thingy. I don't know, man.
And then he just was like, oh, I was brought into this at a level 3. We're going to kick it up to a level fucking 10.
Because he really did. He took it off the fucking meters. But this is back where I still have a hard time because he was so fucking shy. This kid didn't even have his first date until he was first date until he was 18.
But he was fantasizing about raping bitches with broken bottles. I mean, I guess he didn't need women. He had fucking the ground to satisfy his every desire.
That fucking noise, you know, when you step into like really deep mud. Just over and over again. Fuck. Okay.
It's like a fleshlight, only different.
I want to see one of those in real life.
A fleshlight?
Yeah, I've never seen one in real life. I've only seen them on like...
Oh god, they're hilarious.
I'm
going to order you one. I'm just going to buy one and be like, here you go.
Fucking awesome. I will take it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. But I just want to see one in real life. Like, I've gone to, like, Dr. John's out in Salt Lake and, like, looked at some of the stuff in there, but they don't really want you fiddling with that kind of merchandise.
Right.
And not fiddle with, like, my gens, but, like,
well, obviously.
I want to touch it with my fingers.
I don't understand the fascination of wanting to fuck a flashlight. I don't care if there's a pussy on the end of it. You still look like you're jerking a flashlight.
I don't know.
Like, what kind of weird minor fucking fantasy is that? I don't understand it. All of our friends who are minors, please, not young children, but people that work in holes.
Literally. Like a coal miner.
Yes.
I love that you went back and tried to fix that. Oh my god.
My broken brain should not be on air right now.
Not children, but actual people that work in holes. God. So in 1959, he actually married his first wife and he had joined the army. He was then stationed in Korea and was like the best mechanic around. So I'm glad that he at least found that.
Right. Right.
Thanks for serving your country, you fucking psycho.
Yeah, right? So while he was in Korea, he had found out that his wife was expecting their first child, which she would give birth to David Jr. in 1960. Now, people had tried to talk to David after finding out shit about his dad, and he pretty much refuses. And David Parker Ray, dad, makes a comment that him and his son are pretty different because his son's a born-again Christian and he's over there with fucking Satan worshipping and fucking torturing and murdering women. He's like, but he jokes, he's like, we just don't see eye to eye. Fuck.
No shit.
No.
Oh, you don't fucking... Oh, I don't see where there's that much difference.
There's no way. You're lying to me right now. You mean to tell me that your son and you don't see eye to eye? I just don't understand it.
You guys aren't making wobbly H's out of victims. Oh, Jesus Christ.
No, he just does that with his daughter.
Oh my God. Oh. So, moving on.
So in 1961, David has to fly home for an emergency leave to divorce his wife and take his son away because his wife was leaving David, who is just a year old, alone so she could go and party for like days type of thing. Mm-hmm. So he came home, he took his son and
I didn't realize it was like that long. Like I knew that she was ditching the kid at home and like bouncing out to go do whatever the fuck she was doing in the 70s. Probably a lot of blow and a lot of disco. But I didn't realize it was for like days.
Extended periods of time, which is the reason why he had to
like
leave.
Bail and go get his kid.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And so David Jr. would end up staying with David Sr.'s family and stuff so he could finish army time.
Oh, good. So take him and put him right back into the abusive fucking
shit show.
God, I hope he wasn't with like...
I have no idea.
God. So at 62, he remarried again, but he divorced with less than a year later, like 9 months later, and he was like, we just don't get along.
Right.
And I can assume, speculation, I can assume that it had a lot to do with like maybe sexual issues. Where like where like if you're not compatible with a person sexually and you're not willing to explore certain things, not that I'm telling anybody to explore like serious sadomasochism or anything, but everybody likes a little rough sex sometimes. But not maybe not to the point of
what David liked.
Humiliation and fucking severe like bodily injury.
Trauma.
Yeah. And maybe that's why when he was like, we just don't get along.
Yeah.
That girl was like, yeah, I don't want hot things put
in places
where pink things are precious.
Yeah. No. It doesn't put it on the precious. So he actually also received an honorable discharge from the Army. And this is something that transfers over throughout everything that we read, is a lot of people are like, he's a model citizen. He's the nicest fucking person you could ever meet. And even after he was arrested, people were still saying that.
But like, if you looked at it, like, if you didn't know these fucking things, like, he was a great mechanic. He was a nice guy. He served his country. He fucking ran home to grab his kid when his wife was being stupid. And
even throughout the rest of time before he's arrested, he was helping people out. He was doing all sorts of shit. So that just takes my level of comfort and security and just fucking throws it away.
He was a mole citizen.
He was a mole. Well,
I love our typos.
I do too.
They're my favorite. He was a mole citizen.
And then I hate that my computer won't fix it for me. I'm like, come on, you should just read for me.
I think mine does, but only it's like a setting that I have. So in 1966, David would actually go on to marry a single mother named Glenda Burdine. She had a son, so now he was also a father of 2 boys. And then in 67, they would have David's only daughter, Glenda Jean, who, AKA, was fucking Jessie Ray. Mm-hmm. Which sounds like a bad, like, Miley Cyrus pseudonym for, like, Hannah Montana.
Right.
Jessie Ray.
Jessie Ray.
A fun fact to mention is that Ron, David's stepson, would later say that David was always, like, really mellow.
Yeah, super fucking mellow.
And that he never raised his voice to the kids. He didn't hit them. He was always very nice. And something that he would, like, go on and keep saying throughout his life. Yeah. No, man, like, he's a good dude.
He's the nicest person I've met. So there's that fucking security thing I was talking about.
Where, like, even the nicest, well... Oh,
you know, a nice old man who's a mechanic that will help you on the side of the road?
No, but I knew a nice old man that was a middle school teacher that I loved and I thought was the greatest person ever, who's now in prison for sexually molesting and torturing his nephews. Mr. Van Wagner.
I was thinking of a different middle school teacher that we had here that also had married his first cousin.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
And went to jail because he was
having inappropriate relations with a student in it was junior high.
Yeah, with young girls.
Girls.
14, 15.
You little girl.
And I took a class from him and I hated him.
I loved him.
Oh, I hated him.
I had multiple classes with him. I did all sorts of projects all year round with him.
Maybe I could sniff the pedophile out in him. I fucking hated him. I did.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Mr. Bernard. I don't care.
All right.
That's staying.
I don't give a fuck.
Me neither.
It's not going to hurt my feelings. And I highly doubt any of the Bernards are listening to this podcast.
And if they are, don't fucking rape children. Just saying. Anyways, moving on. So David would actually be married to Glinda for 15 years. So that's
a good stretch.
That's a long time.
That's a good stretch.
And money was always tight. And so they moved around a lot because David could never really keep a job for very long. And at one point he decided that he wanted to go to school to become an aircraft mechanic so they could make some more money.
I think they're quite well paid. Actually.
And so at this time, he's also dealing with his fantasies in the back of his head throughout this time, trying to suppress them.
Keep those under wraps while he's...
Well, after a little bit of financial crunch, Glinda decides to help the family by becoming, as David would say, by becoming a whore. And
she started doing, like, some sex work to fucking make ends meet. So she started, quote, finger quote, whoring around for money.
Yeah.
And
he wasn't a huge fan, but he was like, yeah,
it's money.
Pays the bills, so whatever. And he would try to live out his fantasies, but Glinda would only allow very small amounts, like a little bit of tying up.
A little bit of bondage.
Yes, just a wee bit.
A wee bit. Oh, God. You guys, Mirth and Monsters.
Yes.
Which is a little podcast. Little being like shorter episodes, only 3 episodes.
So far.
Quite fucking clever. Totally go fucking listen to it.
Scottish dude.
Scottish accent. And the things that he says.
He could say anything. That's why I was like, I just want to pay you.
You could lean into my ear and be like, "We burger," and I'm like, "Yes, please." Slap me and tell me that I'm pretty.
William, I need you to go and do the fucking dishes.
Yeah, I feel like I'm on it. I will go do those goddamn dishes.
And the one great thing about his podcast too is anybody can listen. Like he doesn't swear.
Fictional, and it's fictional, fun stuff. Love it.
And
so that's like where we're doing the like, oh, we lamb.
Oh, we lamb. Which is our favorite thing to say. So
I know, like now I think that should be a promo that he does for us where we can just insert that where like an actual Scot fucking does the oh, we lamb.
Oh, we lamb, since we can't do it as well.
Or fucking at all with that accent. I cannot.
I can try, but it still sounds.
I know, you and me both. I like to think that sometimes I have a really good accent, but like I said, I can do 3 things. I can curse, sound like a pedophile, or a fucking hillbilly. So, but then...
We get an A for effort, though.
Fair enough.
All right. Anyways. Okay, so 1970, he, by this point, made another dungeon, and he was also designing and selling custom-made torture equipment to a magazine called Screw Magazine. I want to look this up.
I know, so did I, and I actually thought about it this morning because I got a new puppy, Cricket.
That's just so cute.
I've always wanted a basset hound, now I fucking have one, and now I have it and I don't want it, because I'd forgotten that puppies need to get up like every 3 fucking hours. And I'm like, ah, shit, I fucked myself over on this one.
Do you know who would take it?
I most certainly do. Like, there's others left. And they're free. Free 99. Stephanie, if you want one, I'll go get it. And they're not purebred, but they're pretty fucking close. Anyway, back at the ranch.
Anyways,
so
Screw Magazine.
I got up this morning and I wanted to reread my material just so that like I was fresh on all my shit. And then I saw Screw Magazine and I picked my phone up to hit the mighty Google Oracle button and was like, do I really want to do that this early?
Right.
And so I was like, no, I do not.
No, I do not.
But I'm definitely like, it's kind of like the dark web thing. Like my interest has been piqued.
I want to read one of those magazines just because it's also 1970. So
I want you to find, it's a pornography film called Randy the Electric Woman that was made in the 70s. Watch that shit.
Okay.
And it's like 3 fucking hours long. And it's not just like, it's, you know, like the full storyline type of porn. Yeah.
I love those.
But like this magazine, I feel like they had a promo for that movie.
Oh, I'm sure.
But Screw Magazine.
I'll have to get the one book, The Art of Lovemaking, that was made in the 70s. There's so much bush in there.
I cannot. Where everybody's vagina has sideburns. They have pubic hair to their fucking knees. Thank you.
There's more bush in that fucking book than there was presidents. So much.
That was a good one. I can't, you know what, like to each their own and everything, but I don't think I would have survived in the 70s. That is so much pubic hair and I cannot with that shit.
And dudes, if you shave your pubes, it makes your dick look bigger. So
that's why they do it in pornography films.
Yeah.
Like you never see a dude anymore walk out with like this gigantic fucking Grover looking dick. Like one of the fucking Muppets.
Muppet with a tongue hanging out. That is
God. Not Grover. Who am I thinking of? From the Muppets with the long nose. Gonzo. Big Gonzo dick. Where if you like pulled somebody's balls up around their dick and put them up on top, it would look like his eyes.
I cannot right now. Just flip them upside down. No, that is fucking beautiful. Okay, we went from Screw Magazine to Gonzo Dick. All right.
I have never done that dispenser, ever.
I know what I'm doing later.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. So in 1981, David would actually go on to divorce Glenda. And this actually takes place after catching her in bed with another dude, but she was like off the clock. So it's only okay.
She was off the clock, but on the cock. We got it. He did not like it.
So from 9 to 5, it's fucking open swim. And after that, it's private lanes only. Sorry.
No,
so this was a pleasure call. And he was not down for that. Like, he was not fucking cool with it at all. And so he runs off with her sister, which I think is fucking quite poetic.
Yeah.
And they, like, skip off to fucking California to go grow pot.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I'm taking your sister-in-law.
Your sister? Mine.
We're gonna go grow some weed in the fucking mountains of California and be awesome.
You ever heard of Lake Arrowhead? That's where we're headed. Gonna grow some pot. We'll smoke some weed. Choke some bitches. Fucking,
We got plans.
Oh my God. All right. So,
after they lived in California.
Oh, and he's turning into like way too much playtime for us.
Joanne Lee was her name.
Joanne?
Yeah, I think. Is that how you would say that? That's how I would say that.
I would say, yeah.
So,
see, and when I first read all of that, my brain auto-corrected it to Joanne.
oh,
But it's Joanne.
yeah.
It totally, oh my God, what an awful name.
What an awful name.
You know what? Joanne and Glenda.
So they decide to leave California and they come into a fork in the road. And since, I mean, this is 81, they're like, fuck it.
Flipped a coin.
And so that led them to Phoenix, Arizona, which
Is kind of...
oh, why would you choose Phoenix? I'm sorry, all of our friends who are in Phoenix. I love you all.
Joseph, like all you guys.
But you live in Satan's asshole.
For real.
And there is no way.
I lived in Phoenix for a brief moment in time and I fucking hated everything about it. Remember when I talked to you about that scar that's on the back of my leg where I burned it on my interior of my truck? That's because I didn't know that you had to go outside and start your fucking car and pray to God nobody fucking stole it while the AC was running to cool off the goddamn leather in your fucking car so you could drive the son of a bitch to work.
Yeah.
And I was in shorts, hopped in there, and fucking second-degree burn on the back of my goddamn leg. Fuck Phoenix.
Yeah, I remember when we went into Phoenix to visit Quinn's sister when she still lived there. We drop into Phoenix and I'm like, why does this whole place smell like a urinal? It smelled like urinal cakes.
Uh-huh.
Ew.
Oh, go out to fucking Mesa.
No.
Like on the baseline.
No.
Which runs a long ways. You can drive down that motherfucker for like 28 miles and it smells the fucking same the whole way.
No, I don't.
Like things just die.
Well, that's because it's fucking 1,000 degrees there all the time.
That was never meant to be cohabitated.
No, that's where just let the scorpions hang out there.
You weren't supposed to go and domesticate that piece of the earth.
No, when you're like, fuck that place.
So anyway, he actually got a job there at a place called Canal Motors, and he had a boss. Now, this guy's name actually fits into like some of the pornography things we've talked about in past episodes, because Billy Ray Bowers.
Billy Ray Bowers.
Was his immediate supervisor, and they
clashed.
fucking hated each other.
They did. And so Billy was his boss until 1988 when David leaves. And then in 1989, Billy Bowers goes missing.
Oh, that's convenient.
So moving on, in 1983, David and Joanne actually got married. And by this point, his fantasy...
I'm sorry, Joanne. I just cannot with that shit. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Those urges that he had with his fantasies were starting to become like every 6 to 8 months. So he would have to hire a sex worker, which is funny. You left your first wife after 15 years because she was fucking some dude off the clock.
Right.
But you're cheating on your wife
with a prostitute whose safe word is now raspberry. Did they just like...
My safe word is raspberry.
Oklahoma! Foxhole!
It reminds me on Hot Rod. My safe word will be whiskey. What?
Why are you putting so much emphasis on the H? What are you talking about?
Why are you saying it that way? Why am I saying what way?
Forget about it. I will forget about it.
Where do you get off?
Serious playtime.
I know. From now on, my safe word is always going to be raspberry. But
mine is Oklahoma from Johnny Knoxville and the fucking Jackass Boys.
Yes.
Where Preston's getting his ass whipped.
Oklahoma. I'm just going to start saying raspberry, though, to people when they start talking to me, and I don't want to talk to them anymore. I'll just be like, raspberry. Walk away. So, somewhere during this time when... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. So, but then wasn't that because Joanne was like, none of this shit?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't want to do anything with any of this. And so, like, I'm going, like. So, but then was she okay with him procuring,
I think so,
sex other avenues to satiate whatever fucking deviancy he had rolling around in his fucking brains?
I think so. And he wasn't even heavy-handed with the sex workers when he was hiring them.
In the grand scheme of
no, he would do some light whipping, but he would never even break the skin. And then they would have that safe word, and when that safe word raspberry was spoken, then he would be like, all right, and we're done. So he was still he's still fighting off his urges a lot.
So he's got a safe word. He's obviously stopping. So, but then he still has these desires.
Mm-hmm. And so somewhere around this time, his daughter Jessie came to live with him. And in 1986, she had actually called the FBI and said that her dad was torturing and selling women to buyers in Mexico. So for over a year, the FBI tried to investigate this, but they never found anything. So then they were just like, yeah, right.
Which is really funny because later Jessie would actually
be helping,
like be an accomplice.
Mm-hmm. And they would actually investigate under White Slave Traffic Act, but no victims were ever identified and nobody else stepped forward. So they just dropped it. And that's sad because it said later by Jessie's friends and stuff, that's when Jessie gave up on trying to...
Oh, so it was like, if you can't beat him, fucking eat him?
Mm-hmm. Dahmer's fucking motto.
If you can't beat him, eat him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's kind of what it sounds like to me because she attempted to be like, hey, listen, some fucked up shit's going on in my dad's realm of reality and I need you guys to look into it. This is where our system is a little bit fucked because if they don't find something, which granted you should have concrete something.
Right.
But you couldn't find anything?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know.
So she's finally like, fuck it, I'll just start bringing victims to my dad.
Well, I think that in my deep down little heart of speculation and things like that, I don't think that she would necessarily have a choice. Like, she tried to get help. She realized she's never going to get help. And with some of David's fantasies, she could help get him the people that he wanted. So, I don't really know. But as time went on, Joannie became very unstable. And she would actually end up leaving in 1994 because David ships her off to her parents in Pennsylvania after she held a gun to his head.
Fair enough.
She should have just went click. And it would have saved everybody.
You could have pulled the trigger.
Mm-hmm. However, most of those audio clips, like the one we played earlier, the ones that we're going to play throughout this whole thing, was originally made in 1993. And in those clips, he talks about him and his lady. So she didn't leave until 94.
You know what, though? Was he referring to her or was he referring to someone else? Was he referring to a torture toy as his lady? Was he referring to an actual person?
Yeah,
because
well, he did say that they would be eating pussy, too.
Oh, fuck, you're right.
Yeah, so I
forgot.
I don't know, but I don't know if it was Joannie because she didn't want to do anything or if it was somebody else.
I mean, most people would assume that it was Cindy Hendy, but...
She didn't come in until a few years later,
like
97. So, who was the mysterious woman from...
Who was the sickle?
From 93 to 97?
I don't know. Because, like, if Joannie was okay with him getting sex workers to fulfill those needs, why would she be participating in some of his fucked up stuff? Or maybe was he recording these things prior to actually
doing it
and was maybe fulfilling a piece of his fantasy by recording this shit?
Or maybe adding into it later?
Maybe.
Like updating it, but still keeping... I don't know.
It's fucking 97. Yeah. You're probably doing it on a handheld tape recorder that he bought at the corner store.
Mm-hmm.
God knows. Anyway.
So... Now, the one unfortunate thing is after Joannie leaves in 1994 and before Cindy Hendy comes in 1997, he has that 3-year gap to go insane with his fantasies.
Yeah, but he actually... So he reached out to a couple, like several therapists and was like, I need help. I
know I'm fucked up.
Yeah. Can you please help me? And I don't think any of them treated it with the
seriousness?
With the seriousness that it needed to be. And I don't think anybody realized the severity of the situation. So were they thinking that he wasn't telling the truth? Or maybe
they just didn't have the training for it at that time.
Or maybe. Because they did nothing for him.
Yeah, and he even said that they were all stupid. So this is where that part where I kind of feel bad for him in the sense of
like he
knew he was fucked up.
Yeah.
And he tried to get help. Much like one of my other favorite people that we'll cover eventually is Richard Chase. Richard Chase also knew that he had an issue. He knew that he was schizophrenic or something, and he tried numerous times to get help.
Right.
And it kind of fell on deaf ears. So then they're just left to spiral out of control.
Left to their own devices to where they just, it's same thing. Further down the downward spiral. Like, what I think people really need to take mental illness serious.
Very. So now the problem is that his urges went from 6 to 8 months to now every 2 to 3 months.
But wasn't he experimenting with Viagra and shit?
Yeah.
Like, why though?
Why would you take Viagra if you know that your urges are getting worse? Also, one of my questions that I've always had was, did he continue to fuck the ground?
Oh my God, I was getting ready to ask the exact same thing. Like, was he experimenting in kitty litter at this time? Did he start using like sand, clay, mud? Was it still like a rocky piece of earth?
Is this where the goo that you can
Oh
make
my
fart
God, the
noises
fucking
with?
sludge, the slime.
Is this where this invention came into play?
I wonder if you would not get this joke, and unless you're well into your 30s, nobody would get that joke. But you can't do that on television where they would slime you. I wonder if you got erections while watching Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon, the slime.
Oh
shit.
God.
You know those one toys that were the long tubes that were filled with like glitter? and
Oh
different
my
things
God,
that
the
you
giggle
could
tubes.
that you could shake?
Yeah.
And they were,
Oh God damn it. Whoever came up with that did not think that toy through.
put it in a flashlight. There's the flashlight. Boom. Right there. He just didn't think about it. He went child. Somebody else went fucking sexual. One makes more money.
Okay. All right.
Sorry. Okay, so he...
No, it's okay. So he's experimenting with Viagra, and obviously I would assume that's going to make that urge worse.
So then he starts experimenting with other things to kind of try to suppress his thoughts. So, of course, that didn't work. Thankfully, I guess, is he tracked his obsession in great detail. Drawings, method of torture. He had said that writing and drawing were the only small form of a little release that he could give himself that would actually keep him from acting out, because he knew acting out in the methods that he wanted to is wrong. He understood that. He just couldn't help himself.
Like, he still wanted to do it, though.
Mm-hmm. Now...
I wonder if that's like people like me with chronic binge eating. I know I shouldn't, but it tastes good and I want it.
Right. And the one shitty thing about is with any sort of food obsession is you can't stop eating. You need that to fucking live. So...
I don't know, 15 minutes in a really strong aluminum bat. We could probably break my jaw and I can have it wired shut for a minute.
Yeah, but then you're just gonna sip everything until you
That's
can
fine,
eat it
I'm just
again.
gonna talk like this.
It'd be great. I'll make you do all the voices for the podcast. So he actually started with his book and with all of his details. He actually handed that over to the FBI, and like we were talking about earlier of things we wanted to see, this is at the top of my list, because in this book or whatever that he handed over to the FBI, only 3 people in the world have seen it.
This is the thing that we were talking about where I need a raccoon, a backpack, and a fucking knowledge of where this thing is, because the sicko in me needs to fucking see what's in this book. But the fucking sensitive little soul that I am, I know that whatever's in there is gonna fucking crush me.
Yeah, well, because unfortunately, there's been...
3 people only?
Yeah, because it's so bad. And what we know about the toy box, which is disgusting and a lot, is what the FBI felt was okay enough to share.
Which is still fucking
Nightmare
extreme.
fuel.
Yeah.
But
So
what
then
he
what the
can't share
fuck
is
in
so
that
much
book?
worse.
Right.
I want to know.
I know, me too. This is the part that really fucked me up, though. So he talked about like his love for true crime and had a vast library of like serial killer books and books from like Dean Koontz and Stephen King, which if you go to my fucking house...
If you go to either of our houses, and I don't know, we have a podcast about
I know,
true crime.
God. But like literally my favorite author ever is Dean Koontz. I started reading his shit when I was literally 11 years old, and the very first book I read was Midnight. It fucking terrified me to a point that I ran away from home in the middle of the night to go to my mom's work. I felt so fucking unsafe.
Yeah.
And David can verify that for you because he worked there too. He washed dishes. Luckily, we were living in a motel at the time, so home wasn't that far away from the restaurant and there were streetlights. But I mean, it sometimes worries me when I'm like, if I were to make a chart, like a flow chart, and circle all the things I have in common with serial killers, I'm pretty sure I would have Spencer just lock me in a closet and fucking leave me there.
Right. Well, and I have said numerous times I should probably be arrested for the thoughts of what I would do to certain types of people. Now, granted, the only people that make that list are serial killers or pedophiles.
Rapists and fucking kid fiddlers. Yeah.
The people that shouldn't be here anyways. So...
I like her, we're like, we'll decide.
We'll decide. My moral compass is sound. Excuse my whole torture. I would make my torture methods be amazing.
Fucking Stabby McStabberson and the CTK. So if you guys don't follow us on Twitter, and you fucking should, we actually joked about how somebody said something about strangulation. I can't even remember the thread.
I think
and it
we
was
were
like,
talking with Myths and Monsters at the time, but I don't remember who else was in there.
I can't either, but I was like, I don't have the upper body strength to fucking strangle somebody. I think I'm more of a stabby person.
Stabby McStabberson.
Stabby McStabberson. And you're like, I'm more of a chloroform torture and kill. So she's the CTK killer. And I'm Stabby McStabberson.
We were talking about polygraph tests and how they're not
Yeah.
100%. And yeah, you had said that you would walk in and you would say that, and then I would walk in and say that and be like, oh shit, all right.
I'm just kidding.
Take me away.
I don't do those things.
I don't do those, but I did. So
Fucking prove it.
I should probably just be in jail anyways. But yeah, Twitter and us is what?
We really have to stop some days and think about what comes out of our fucking throats.
I know.
Because if anything ever happens within a 50-mile radius of us, we are the first people to get arrested.
I know. But I'm strangely like,
Whatever.
I don't care.
If the
Try it again.
if the highway patrol guy can start a bunch of fucking fires, then I feel like we're okay. Because,
Besides, I can say right now that the thing that keeps me from killing fucking pedos and people like that is because I have children and I actually like my life and my freedom. Now, if I'm old and somebody wants to throw me in a home, and if pedophiles start disappearing, you should probably look my way. Just saying.
You can't, because we're supposed to grow old. Us two biddies with a bunch of fucking cats, remember? Eating grilled cheeses on the porch.
I know.
You can't do that.
We can, but I'm saying once we get to the point that we can't anymore and somebody wants to put us in a home, we're going to start slaying some pedos and then we'll go be in jail together.
Little rabid grannies.
Yeah. I mean,
that's
my
fine.
grandkids would come and visit me more in fucking prison than they would at the home.
You just made me spit so much. Okay.
I mean, they would rather be like, yeah, your grandma plays bingo, my grandma slayed a bunch of pedos. Like,
my grandma, CTK.
CTK and Stabby McStabberson.
They can pick up our podcast and carry on with it.
Right? It'll be great.
Oh my God. Family legacy. Jesus Christ. Okay. But then after his arrest, he would actually go on and say how he would give anything to the FBI in order to help them. Basically saying like anything I can give you.
So you know more about people like me.
Right. So that nobody else can like destroy. What was the actual quote though? Like he said something like,
if I can help others, I'd be glad to. It's a curse that destroys your life.
that.
Yeah.
Where
so he knew.
Yeah, no, it was kind of like being a werewolf. Mm-hmm. Like, fuck, I know the full moon's coming. I know this is going to happen. I'm going to fuck somebody up. Mm-hmm. But at least he was willing to admit it and say, yes, take my information, do with it good things.
Right. He also tried to keep his fantasies very quiet because he did feel he was ashamed of it in a lot of different ways. And he also struggled to talk about his previous life because he is such a private person. And he did admit that the fantasy was getting worse fantasy was getting worse and worse.
There you go.
Fuck
words.
mouth, make words.
Fuck mouth.
As sadist monsters know, you have to keep,
like, it's like the holy shit.
We'll get through this.
All right. Teamwork makes the dream work. Goddamn. The thrill has to get deeper and deeper. Mm-hmm. Like, it has to be more and more of an excitement. So, like, the victims get younger, the torture gets worse in order to keep up.
You got to feed that monster. You can't just do a little bit of whip and
you can't just like
and be like, I'm good.
A little bit of hot candle wax, and somebody's like, raspberry, and you're like, Mary. All right. No, that's not how it goes.
There's no candle wax on the nipples or witchcraft or anything. Love that movie. Anyways, that was not the case here.
Whips, chips, chains, and dips.
If you were a 15-year-old boy, would these turn you on? So,
oh, God.
Anyways, he said that he never actually wanted to permanently hurt a woman. That was not his original intention.
No,
however, shit happens.
Yeah, right. And I don't know, because you guys won't really get the gist of it until like part 2. Mm-hmm. But if you didn't want to permanently hurt a woman, then why the fuck were you doing some of these most permanent things?
Yeah.
So,
I think part of it is kind of he was almost lying a little bit, but he did seem like he was relieved in the very beginning of being arrested, and he was even like, you can sterilize.
Oh, yeah, he was all about it. He was like, take my junk.
Yeah, but like, man, you're not going anywhere.
No, but did he think that was going to alleviate whatever was going on in his brain? Like, if they made him a eunuch and took off his wobbly sausage, was that going to make whatever was making him want to do this go away?
I don't know.
Because why would you jump up and be like, sterilize me?
Chop my dick off. My volunteer's tribute.
Yeah,
I have no
don't
idea.
know.
I'm looking up a thing.
A thing?
I need to know the name
Of?
Rufus. Okay.
Narrate.
The cat from The Rescuers with the mustache. I always think David Parker Ray looks like fucking Rufus. So it was gonna bother me until I looked it up. So after 1997 this is when he met Cindy Handy and they fall in love. He kept his fantasy light for her in the beginning, kind of, feel her out and see where she would go with it.
Yeah, but the fucking horrifying nightmare about all of it is that she was equally as fucking grody.
Oh, she's a fucking
She is a gutter of a person.
Uh-huh.
Like worse, I think in some ways worse than David Ray Parker.
Mm-hmm.
Or David Parker Ray. Sorry, backwards.
Dude, I didn't even catch it.
I did.
I'm so glad.
Fuck her. Anyway, or don't fuck her.
Don't, definitely don't.
Raspberry.
All the raspberries, fucking throw bushels.
So
she made it worse because she was a loose cannon where he was very private. She
was a fucking troublemaker. She had a history of things to where he was not. Like that shy, reserved, he's such a good old boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know
she's
what I mean?
just a dirty cunt.
Yeah, well, yes, and even more.
Right. Because he was
dirty cunt's a little bit squeaky clean for what you should have called her.
Right. I mean, she's not even an ankle. She's not even 2 feet below a cunt. Like, I don't know what she is, but she's worse than... Because I say cunt in all sorts of ways. It can be bad, it can be good.
It can be sexy, it could be funny.
Yeah, she is none of those things.
No.
None of them. Because nobody knew about David Parker Ray or any of his acts except for the people that were in a satanic cult. But right now, we're going to take our own little break and we're going to play David Parker Ray's shit.
You are going to be used hard, especially during your first few days while you're new and fresh. You're going to be kept chained in a variety of different positions, usually with your legs or knees forced wide apart. Your pussy and asshole are going to get a real workout, especially your asshole. Both of those holes are going to be subject to a lot of use with some rather large dildos, among other things. It goes without saying there's going to be a lot of oral sex. On numerous occasions, you are going to be forced to suck cock and eat pussy until your jaw aches and your tongue is sore. You may not like it, but you're fucking sure gonna do it. And that's the easy part. Our fetishes and hang-ups include stringent bondage, dungeon games, and a little sadism. Nothing serious, but uncomfortable and sometimes painful. Just a few little hang-ups that we like to use when we're getting off on a bitch. If you're a young teeny bopper and ignorant about fetishes and deviations, you're about to get an enlightened crash course in sex.
So, let's break down Cindy Handy.
Oh, let's. Please.
Because this no good bitch.
Yeah.
The things about her that we're going to learn you, or let me learn you a thing or two.
Let me learn you a thing. Because nobody really talks about her.
No.
And I think they should.
Which is unfair.
Yeah.
Because she is a grotesque fucking cunt of a person.
She's so nasty. I do not.
So she actually met David after
she fled.
Terser.
Terser in the room.
So she actually met David after she fled Washington to avoid jail time for some of the shit that she pulled up there. So, but then let's start at the beginning.
Yes, let's talk about little Cindy and her in all of her shit. So after she was arrested, after everybody found out about Truth and Consequences and things like that, one of her childhood friends actually stepped forward.
Why the fuck do people even live in a place called Truth or Consequences? I feel like you're asking for bad juju.
Right. Well, originally it was called something else, but then there was a stupid TV show and they said, hey, if anybody changes the name of their town to the show, Truth or Consequences, we'll fucking give you a hand job and a shake. I don't fucking remember what it was. I don't care. So
But what kind of shake? I mean, did it have candy in it? Because, I mean, like, for the right amount of food, I would probably change my
I'm thinking
it's stupid.
It was like 3 shakes and you're playing with yourself.
Wrong
shake.
wrong
shake.
Sorry, I'm fat.
Sorry, I'm just hungry.
So
anyway, so they changed it to Truth or Consequences, but whatever. So this childhood friend steps forward and is like, let me tell you a little bit about Cindy Handy.
Yes.
And they did not want their names released at all.
Why would you? I wouldn't want to be fucking tied into that either.
But, I mean, if they wanted to, it probably wouldn't be that hard to figure out who these people are, given...
Like the information?
Yeah, right.
Well, because she grew up in a very small, poor town called Everett, Washington. Mm-hmm. So during her growing up, like, how many people were there really? Mm.
And she would have to beg for hours to be fed. And this person that stepped forward said that, yeah, they would go and they would beg for food. And finally, they would get tossed a can of tuna to split between all the kids.
Many children.
Mm-hmm.
Like one can of tuna fish.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And she saw a lot of things. Her mom ran through men with the quickness. And obviously they were giant
not.
pieces of shit.
Not Prince Charmings.
No.
Go figure.
And when Cindy was still a little girl, she actually watched her mom get in a fight with one of her mother's boyfriends, and he would end up smashing in her mother's face right in front of Cindy.
So it's at a very young age, she's learning that, like, abuse equals love and attention.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Awesome.
So when she was 8 is when her mom remarried, and just a couple years later, that stepdad would end up fiddling her in bed one night.
Yeah, but here's the fucked up shit.
Mm-hmm.
Homeboy's like, by the by, I did fiddle fuck around with your kid, but...
Who's 8?
Who's 8?
Well, no, she was a little bit older by this point, because it was a couple years later, but still.
I think she was like 10-ish.
Yeah. She was still under 11.
But she's fucking a child. Okay, so I thought it was you. I was drunk.
I was drunk, and I got bedrooms mixed up, and
I just, you know what? And I crawled in to bed with a 10-year-old who felt like you, liar.
Right.
And that's how that all happened. Well, but then Cindy's mom was like, okay, yeah, I see how that happens.
It makes sense.
What?
Right? So this obviously caused issues between the family, and people would call Cindy a box of rocks, and they actually kicked her out of her home to be on her own.
Like at 11.
At 11. So, I mean, yeah, Cindy's a disgusting piece of shit, but little Cindy, I feel bad for. If I could have been like, let me help you,
right,
child, I would have. Adult Cindy, I'm like, fuck you, you nasty bitch.
It's so...
It's one of those
really,
things.
Yeah, no, it's really hard to hate a person when you realize how they grew up and how they became the person they became.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is how you turn into a wretched piece of shit.
And we definitely don't excuse the acts, but you can feel bad for who that person used to be. You know what I mean?
Well, because essentially after that, she turned to drugs. Like a lot of kids do.
Mm-hmm.
So she fell deep into drugs. She was kind of couch surfing, living with various people, stealing stuff to buy drugs, stealing stuff to feed herself.
Mm-hmm.
And she started getting passed around, dude. Like more than a collection plate at a fucking church from like drug dealer to drug dealer.
Mm-hmm.
So like cock for cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put that in my mouth if you put that up my nose.
Right. Right. And that's what this friend even said. It was basically the guy with the most coke
wins.
So that was kind of...
Coke for cunt.
Yep.
Oh, goodness. There's so many C words right now. The 3 C's of becoming a fucking sleaze.
Off the clock, on the cock, fucking coke for cunts. Coke for cunts sounds like a weird fucking charitable organization.
Oh, no!
So, but here's where I said that this person probably could be easily traced is because this person that had stepped forward actually dated Cindy when they were 16, and he had said that she was very...
Yeah, like she was way into some violent shit at a very young age.
Which, I mean, if you're hanging out with drug dealers and you're trying to get shit for, you know, coke or whatever, I'm sure some of them were into some...
pretty intense things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and if any of them are like, yeah, let me fucking rape this fucking 14-year-old. No big deal. Ugh. Yeah. But she would always say that she would want to pretend she was getting raped, and she wanted it to hurt. She wanted that pain to be inflicted. And she actually talked about that her and that boyfriend should go and get a sex worker and rape her. So she's the one that's coming up with like, hey, let's go steal somebody and fucking rape them. So she's just as fucked as David is.
Wow, dude. She's like, she fucking way, way out in the wilderness on that.
She had her own fantasies.
Yeah.
So... yeah. And
Excuse me.
apparently she would constantly get naked and she would fuck anybody.
Like she was fucking to get her teeth fixed.
Yeah.
Like, I'll bang this dentist to get my fucking tooth fixed. You got $20? Let's fuck. But unfortunately, her little sisters kind of followed right behind her, and they did some pretty fucked up shit too. They were reaching out for people that were interested in like some legit sister action.
And they would fuck each other.
Yeah. Awesome, possum, threesomes, fucking, I said awesome when I shouldn't have. I wasn't sure what word to use, and that's what fell out of my face.
Right. No.
Not awesome. It's not awesome to fuck your sister.
No, but fucking...
I mean, unless you're in Arkansas. And if I have listeners in Arkansas, I'm totally fucking kidding. It's Kentucky.
A little bit. It's Kentucky. And if we have listeners
or Utah.
in Kentucky, I'm sorry, it's North Carolina.
It's fine. We'll just bounce it around. Because in Utah, it's fine. You just have to have last name Kingston.
You just have to be in a polygamy circle, and then it's okay to be a sister.
And then you can
wife.
and then you can totally bang your half sister. It's fine.
It's good. It's actually recommended.
Recommended dose of polygamy is with a half sister.
One half sister. every 2 weeks as needed. Fuck.
All right, back on track.
Cindy actually had 3 kids.
Sorry.
No, you're
One half sister as needed.
every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. Okay.
By mouth. take
shit.
one half sister orally every 2 weeks as needed.
Okay.
Okay. So Cindy had 3 kids. Her first was a boy named Shane, and he was actually born at just like 2 pounds, and he almost died. My guess is
Probably
all the coke.
like drug.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel bad for this kid because he never had a chance at a normal life.
No.
Because when he was 7, he watched his mom overdose on pills in front of him, and he had to call 911 and had to do like all the life-saving things until paramedics
Like
could show
first
up.
responders came to save his mom. Perfect.
7. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
And she never gave him anything
So he,
at all.
yeah, because he started stealing shit, like even just like school clothes and things to
A
survive.
blanket
Yeah.
and shit. And the fucked up thing is, as he got older, anytime he got arrested, she would go in and steal all of his shit
And buy drugs.
and buy drugs.
So like
for him.
anything he stole to get by, she took and sold it to
Oh,
get
you don't
high.
need that bed anymore, but I need fucking cocaine. So that's good.
Good Lord.
And actually, at the time that his mom was arrested, he had just been released from jail, and he was 22 at the time, for having sex with a 14-year-old. So, fucking... hold on 1 second.
I got it to pause. Can you get it to unpause?
There we go.
Oh, look, all right.
Okay.
So Cindy was always very violent. It was kind of like get some booze in her and watch out, which I get. Like, I've gotten the same way, but I've also, like, through methods of... Like, what do they call it? I know what I can and cannot have.
Right.
Clearly, everything that went into her came out as fucking toxicity. Mm-hmm. Because she was like, had some drinks, went in the living room, was having a fucking private party with DJ Diddles.
Right?
Double clicking the mouse, so to speak.
And her boyfriend, Chris.
Was that his name?
Yeah.
Okay. Was banging a sex doll.
In the other room.
Okay, none of this makes any fucking sense.
Why?
Like, if y'all are in the same fucking house, why are you fucking separately on your own when you could be banging together?
If you saw your nasty-ass girlfriend fucking... Why wouldn't you be like...
It's the remix!
Maybe he'd rather fuck a doll than her.
You're a what?
Ew.
Ew, ew, ew.
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 Fuck me. All right. So she finishes
Her shit.
her fucking remix. She walks in on Chris banging Plastica,
Plastic.
Kornikova, and
She loses it.
loses her fucking mind.
Because, like,
Attacks
he's
the guy.
fucking somebody else.
Because it's a doll.
It's a doll. She loses her mind, goes and grabs a knife, and comes back.
Splits him open.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, days later, tries to kill him with rat poison.
Right. Right. Oh, and she fucking, like, murdered the doll while she was stabbing it. She's like, I want you to love me! And some weird...
You don't love me!
You love this fucking plastic.
Plastica goes straight to hell.
So you could say that's when she committed her first murder.
Oh my god.
But yeah, then she tries to poison him later after cracking him over the head. And
Doesn't she, like, smack him with a bottle, too?
yeah, she's like, oh, poison doesn't work. Hitting you doesn't work. So
So I'm gonna smash you with this fucking bottle as well.
yeah, that just required... Oh, I whistled right there.
You sounded like the little beaver from Lady and the Tramp. 66 centimeters. Okay, all right.
Okay, anyway.
So Cindy also had a couple of daughters. She has Heather that's the middle kid and is 19 at the time of Cindy's arrest. Mm-hmm. And then there's another one. What was her name? Like Miffy or Muffy or something
Miffy.
fucking stupid?
Maybe.
Miffy.
But Heather was also pregnant at the time, and Cindy was actually going to try to sneak her way back up to Washington to see Heather. And David said, before you leave, I need a bitch first. We need
Sorry.
to capture somebody.
I just realized how I was drinking that coffee and I was doing the Slurpee thingy. And so I apologize for anybody that hears that.
Well, coffee is delicious.
It really is, and I needed it. So she's going to bail out because, you know, the birth of a grandson is...
It's a big deal, even though she doesn't give a fuck about her own kids, but it's fine.
Clearly.
But before she leaves, that's when David's like, I need somebody before you go. And that's when they captured Cindy.
Vihil.
Yeah.
Cindy Vihil.
Yeah.
And she's the only one that, like, she escaped.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
It's okay.
She had escaped.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't, like, get turned loose. She wasn't drugged and left somewhere else. Like, she fucking ran away with the full wherewithal to Tattletale.
Exactly. So then Cindy's youngest, Miffy, and she definitely saw the worst. And Miffy
Hated her mom.
as she fucking should. Because when Cindy left Washington, she took Miffy with her because Miffy was 10. So she's fleeing a state, fleeing from everything else, and she takes her youngest one.
Janky fucking shit she's done, grabs her youngest kid, bails the fuck out.
And this was because Miffy's father had died of an overdose, so obviously he was also a
prime kind of person.
Right. And that's when she was 4. So she only had, like, her mom and her older siblings. And...
Because it was always kind of known that, like, if Miffy said anything, like if she, quote-unquote, squealed, she'd get the shit beat out of her. So anything that her mom did, whether it was drugs, theft...
Fucking all the dudes.
Fucking dudes, prostitution, whatever. If she said anything, she knew what would happen to her. And if you're a 10-year-old fucking kid, I don't want to get my ass kicked at 36.
Right.
I guarantee you no 10-year-old wants to take an ass beating.
Right. And it's also your mom. And what's fucked up is Cindy would lock her in her trailer for days while she's going off and doing whatever.
Janky ass shit with
And apparently,
DPR.
Apparently she had also left Miffy with a couple of Mexican, like, sex traffickers as almost like a way of hang out with her, you know, like she was a bartering chip that she might actually sell her daughter, which is
how fucking sad is that? Because God only knows what happened to her while she was in the hands of these people.
Right? I mean, if you have to hang out with a 10-year-old for a little while, feel her out to see if she's good enough for fucking sex trafficking.
Whatever it is that you're going to be doing with her. Okay.
So she actually knew David Parker Ray, and I'm assuming because when Cindy lived with David Parker Ray, I would assume that Miffy also lived there. I couldn't ever find anything, but
neither could I, and I don't know if she lived with them at his home or if she just left her to kind of half-ass fend for herself at another residence.
Yeah, I have no idea. But
you would kind of think that they would have to, because if they were bringing people into the home, because you would have to kind of assume some of the activities that were taking place inside of David Parker Ray's home, you wouldn't have a child in there, would you? But who fucking knows?
Who fucking knows? But she knew she knew about the toy box, and she was told to never go near it.
Remix!
Fucking so DJ in my mouth hole right now.
But she was told, like, don't ever go there, don't ever touch this, that kind of thing. So...
I have no idea. No idea.
Because when she was arrested, she being Cindy Hendy, when she was arrested and Miffy found out, because she was like, what, 12, 13?
Yeah.
She was like, good, I'm glad.
Yeah, like, fuck her.
All right.
It's all right. So that kind of gives you an insight extra on what a piece of shit she was. Because Cindy had to leave Washington because she had stole guardrails from a scrapyard to sell for drugs, and she got arrested. And she made bail immediately, and her dumbass bought an 8-ball of cocaine and sold it to an undercover cop.
Oh my God.
So that's when she left with Miffy and her then boyfriend at the time, John Youngblood, to New Mexico.
I always like those fucking, the fun young, like, or the fun last names, like Johnny Truelove. And I actually know a person with the last name Six Killer. For real. They live in Roosevelt.
That's awesome.
I know. Why can't I have a gangster-ass last name that strikes fear into the heart of man?
Right? Nope. We could always get one, though. You can always change it.
I know, but then I'm 5 feet tall and people look at me and they're like, aren't you cute? I'm like,
you can be like,
I'll fucking eat your heart out of your chest!
Angel Little Clubber. Or I don't know what you could come up with.
Little Clubber. Is that like small ravers?
That's what I was thinking.
Jesus Christ. So she...
It'll be okay.
Fucking playtime. So she sells blow to an undercover cop, and then she takes off to Mexico with John Youngblood.
Yes.
Okay.
And she met David Parker Ray in 1997 after a fight with Youngblood in the bar. And I believe that she had also was working, like picking up trash or whatever, in the same, like Ranger Park area that David Parker Ray had also worked at as well.
Oh, is that maybe how they, like, bumped into each other?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And then after the fight with Youngblood is when they really got together. And now, later, in 1998 of December, is when Cindy files charges against Youngblood for domestic violence.
But but she, like, what do they say? They, like, recanted or retracted her whatevers.
Yeah, she ends up taking, like, 4 days later, she recanted all of her statements. However, by that point, she had already been living and sleeping with David Parker Ray. But during the investigation, a man named John
Branu?
Yeah, would say that he actually knew Cindy pretty well, and that she was a sex addict, loved rough sex so much that she had...
Okay, so
but
then...
This is the part where this bitch is so fucking nasty.
She actually would have her inner and outer labia removed. Like, her majora and her minora.
She had both lips fucking chopped off.
Sheared off of her body. Who the fuck did that?
So the violent sex would feel better. I don't know. I don't know what doctor did that. It was obviously not...
Did a fucking doctor do it?
I don't know, but I want to see
walk into a fucking gyno office. You want to see it?
I want to see what her fucking pussy looks like, because it doesn't have the outer or the inner lip, so it's like this weird fucking hole with a clit at the top. What does it look like? I need to fucking know.
Well, look up anybody that goes through genital mutilation down in, like, Africa, and you'll fucking know.
Well, yeah, but this is the whole, all of it.
Yeah, they do the same thing.
I know, but I need to know what that shame cave of horror looks like.
You've got the fucking oracle at your hand. You could probably look that shit up.
I haven't, because I want to see it, but I don't. Like, I'm interested, but I'm all set.
It's all fucking... It's kind of like when somebody farts, and you sometimes see that one person that, like, inhales really deeply, and you're like, but why then? And
but why?
Like, I don't know, because I need to smell their brand, but I don't.
But I
don't want it, but I do.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I just don't... I think vaginas look terrifying anyways.
It's very rare that I see, like, a vagina that I'm like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah, you take all of the fucking folds off of it.
And it just looks like some terrifying fucking flesh-eating plant that came out of, like, some remote forest where people shouldn't be.
Yeah, and what does the scar tissue look like? Like, is it just, like, lines of fucking... Anyways. But she did that so the violent sex would feel better, you know? It can't be stopped by those pussy lips. Hard banging.
Okay.
But we know, like I said just a minute ago, that she was already sleeping with David Parker Ray when she was filing the charges. And she was also fucking Roy Yancey, which we'll get into him in just a second.
Wasn't he quite a bit younger?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought.
And she originally was fucking with Roy, but after a few wobbly ages, she realized that she also likes the seasoned meat and fucking ditches the young buck for the old man. And did you find something? The other fucked up thing, like removal of pussy lips and wanting to rape a sex worker and selling your child to...
Sorry, I showed her the pictures.
That is just... But, okay.
I'm not even 100% sure what that is.
I don't either, but that looks like something Ed Gein would approve of. Fucking patches of weird skin in places. Okay. What?
They just keep getting worse, dude.
But why, though? What happened to it? Did it get burned? What?
I think that one was forcefully removed, is kind of the thing that I'm feeling on that. But,
okay.
Anyway, sorry.
No, you're fine.
You might want to explain what a wobbly H is, because we keep referring to it.
Okay, so... It's also known as, like, an Eiffel Tower. I mean, you can look it up. It's basically where one dude is one end, the other dude is on the other end.
And then when you have a lady in the middle, it is now a wobbly H.
It gets a little wobbly. And they could high five over her back if they so desired. But the other fucked up thing that makes everything worse is Cindy also, she was a female pedophile. Yes. She loved little girls. And
that was actually, like, after Cindy Vahil, she had actually been, like...
In the market?
Yeah, like, hunting down, like, a 10 or 11-year-old to...
do her next acts with.
Yeah.
So, ew. Fuck her.
It's all bad.
Right?
But a child?
So, now we will go into audio number 3, where it's going to kind of talk about more of the satanic...
Oh, God.
Side of David Parker Ray, which I've always had questions on, especially, did they ever catch anybody else in the satanic cult? I have no idea. Anyways.
I have no idea, but... we're the remix! But they always talk about this, like, Church of Satan, Church of Satan, and, like, other people.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then...
Yeah. So, here's that clip.
I'm the dungeon master for the local chapter of the Church of Satan, Lucifer, or the devil to you. You have been abducted so that your body can be used during rituals for sexual purposes after our meetings. Our membership is pretty small, about 20 people, both male and female. A hidden church, black robes, pentagrams, rituals, chanting, and a lot of nakedness, animal sacrifices, chicken blood, and a hell of a lot of sex after. Meetings get interesting and exciting to say the least. Trying to raise the demons is important, but it is the sex that keeps the church financially afloat. We like fresh meat. Every couple months, we kidnap some good-looking little bitch to use during our rituals, and to keep available for everyone to use during the orgy. Let me tell you what happens at our meetings. You'll be taken to the church in a wooden box, naked, in chains, with your eyes taped shut so you can't identify anybody. Once you are there, you'll be strapped down to a table. Your arms will be chained against your side. Leather straps will be buckled across your upper chest, your rib cage, and your belly so that you can't move. Your legs will be spread extremely wide apart because some of our members have diversified interest in, which hole they want to use. There is a U-shaped cutout at the top of the table that allows your head to drop right down into it. Another strap will be put across your forehead so you can't move, allowing your mouth and throat to be used for sex. Dental jaw blocks will be installed into your mouth so that you can't bite anyone during oral sex. When your mouth is wide open, members will just shove their dicks down your throat and hump your face until they come. After the meeting, everyone goes to the orgy room. Everyone is fucking naked and they'll surround the table. You are definitely going to be the center of attention. Everyone is going to want to feel you and try you out. The high priest will move to the bottom of the table with a large wooden box that contains the dildo, that we call the devil's dick. The tip is small, but it's tapered. The base is about 3 inches thick and the whole thing is pretty close to 12 inches. It's a real pussy stretcher. We will chant, the devil's dick, and a half dozen people will hold you still while the high priest forces the dick all the way up inside you. It's not unusual for a girl to pass out while this is being done. Next, the high priest will rape you. After that, you're available for everyone's use. They'll take turns using you. You'll probably be raped 40 to 50 times. The next morning, I will take you back to the dungeon, wash the sperm out of your body, and clean you up. I'll give you a bath, let you build your strength up, so then we can do it all over again.
Okay, so that's pretty fucked up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so now we move into talking about Dennis Roy Yancey, who was the other youngin' that was fooling about with Cindy Hendy. Mm-hmm. But was he also like fooling around with Jesse? Mm-mm. No? Mm-mm. Oh, maybe I read that wrong.
Yeah.
My bad.
Jesse liked the punani.
Oh, she was a scissor sister? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right, because that's how, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Okay. Anyway, so he was known in Truth or Consequences as kind of like a young little asshole. Mm-hmm. So he must have been that like small town wannabe badass. Yes. That had like, I want to start laughing like you fucking flat brim hat wearing affliction shirts.
Uh-huh. Kind of. I think more trench coat.
Okay, because he did a lot of B&Es. Like, he was doing some breaking and entering. He was known to be part of, like, a small satanic cult. Mm-hmm. And, like, as a young kid, he actually would go out and was, like, spray painting and flipping over, like, headstones and shit, like desecrating graves.
Yeah, right? And they would spray paint, like, satanic symbols, and they were claiming to be all these badasses, but it got to the point where, what year was that? 1987.
They, like, canceled fucking Halloween.
Yeah, because they were torturing animals and saying that they were gonna hurt children and shit like that, and so they...
And, like, nobody thought to just go whip his ass.
They canceled fucking Halloween. I would find those little fuckers, and I would murder them most foul. You don't fuck with my holiday.
Don't fucking touch my holiday.
No.
Dude, my Halloween will never go unfucking celebrated ever.
Right. So...
Like, not only is it my favorite holiday, it's my fucking wedding anniversary. Mm-hmm. Like, exactly. I'm out in the front yard fucking, this is Halloween, this is Halloween, Halloween,
dancing, the pumpkin dancing guy, the meme.
I know. Right?
But also, he was kind of a little bit of a little Shakespeare. He just wanted somebody to love him. He wrote poems. So yeah, he's like, I'm part of this satanic cult and everything, but please just love me.
Pet me and tell me I'm pretty. So he kind of couch surfed a lot too and went from house to house, wasn't really rooted anywhere. And he also went into the Navy, but he had a dishonorable discharge in 1987 after they found him making illegal fucking knives or brass knuckles or shit they weren't supposed to have.
Yeah, he was machining fucking weapons on his own time, and they're like, you're kind of fucking psycho, so we're gonna just go ahead and kick you on out.
So when he got arrested, when this all went down, he actually had a pregnant wife.
Mm-hmm, and he was 27, so he was quite a bit younger than old DPR.
And fucking Cindy Handy.
Yeah. Ugh, nasty bitch.
Crusty Cindy. So they were actually arrested March 26th, and they being Cindy and David, in 1999.
Yeah, March 22nd.
What did I say?
26th.
Oh, March 22, 1999.
Right.
And this was after Cindy Vigil was able to break free of her situation and bounce out to the old people's house.
Right. And so after she was arrested, nobody, police, anything like that, were prepared for what they were going to find. But immediately they set Cindy and David's bail at $1 million.
Yeah, there's no fucking way that you're bailing out.
Yeah, we're not.
Why would they
even
fucking? Why would they even I would go to the judge and just be like, I'm petitioning for no fucking bail.
Yeah, without bail. You need to come and look at this. Mm-hmm. So one of the sad things, and it actually it hurt my soul heart a lot, was one of the first cops that was working on the case was a woman named Patricia E. Rust. And now we're going to kind of go into details of what is found in the toy box.
But we won't really tell you about some of the deeper details about what they did until episode number 2.
Yes. So, I mean, it's one thing to hear things, but especially being a woman and she's a police officer, she not only had to hear things, she had to see things, she had to watch.
Read them, see them. I mean, she
had to take it all in. And so some of the things that were found both in his home and in the toy box is what we're going to kind of go over now. So in his house, an FBI agent, John Shum, found a toolbox, and inside was a pretty little pearl-handled Colt handgun. Yep. Mm-hmm. He also had a bottle of hot damn schnapps. I fucking
What
hate
the
hot
fuck
damn.
were you doing with hot damn?
I don't know. Fucking making bad choices.
Oh, you getting drunk with fucking junior hires? That's aftershock and fucking regret.
Mm-hmm. There was also a large hunting knife.
Hunting knife, a tube of Vaseline, and leather whip coiled around fake police badge.
God. Because David Parker Ray loved pretending like he was a police officer.
Right.
And he would pick up either prostitution. Jesus Christ.
It's okay.
Sex
all right.
workers. Since I can't say fucking prostitutes, apparently.
Prostitutions. So, but then, because he would actually do that a few times.
Mm-hmm. Now, as they're moving through his home, the agent, John Shum, had found
hundreds of homemade
movies of his personal collection.
Homemade filthies.
And there was some fucked up advice, as I quote, you say it. I can't right now. My brain.
So on the desk was disturbing advice warm soldering iron up inside of her vagina, pluck pubic hairs out one by one with tweezers.
Shum actually you just said vagina, though. That was funny.
Why?
Because you said it just funny. You're like, vagina.
Well, I kind of imagined as I was saying the word, and I was like, oh my God.
It hurts us.
I don't likes it. Mm-hmm. Shum actually found over 60 very detailed drawings of rape and torture. And he would end up interviewing David Parker Ray over the course of 3 days, totaling 10, 12 hours type thing, 9 to 12 hours. Mm-hmm. He had 300 pages of work piled up, but after David Parker Ray had a court-appointed attorney, somehow those pages were ruled out as illegally
obtained.
Illegally obtained fucking evidence.
300 pages worth of shit, and it was ruled as illegally obtained. I would lose my fucking shit.
300 pages?
Jesus Christ.
I can't even imagine how long that would fucking take.
Right.
I don't know. If you're somebody cool that can type 100 fucking words a minute, it might not be so bad.
Right.
But
still.
The process of not being able to use the evidence is kind of a staple throughout this entire trial, which we'll talk about in part 3.
Which,
is
will be
extremely
so fucking
frustrating.
mad.
Yeah, it's extremely frustrating.
It is. They also had found the broken lamp that Cindy had said that she was hit with along. Now, they also had found bloody dildos, hooks, chains, and a coffin-like box. And this box was about 7 feet long and 2.5 feet wide. And it was lined with brown carpet. And it also had holes for ventilation and a way that he could tie down his victims. And what he would do is sometimes he would put a girl in a box until he could decide on what they wanted to do with her.
So they're binding them in this little coffin box. At least they give them ventilation holes.
I guess. So then is when they move into the toy box, which they had to have opened up by a locksmith. And fortunately for Cindy, I can never say her last name. Vahil. She never went into the toy box.
No, she was into the home. And she managed to get out before they took her into the toy box, where that's like the monstrosities of this $100,000 horror project fucking took place.
Yeah, $100,000.
In torture fucking toys.
And it's not like he was a man made of a lot of money.
No.
Okay.
No. So Patricia Rust, who is that officer that we were talking about, worked tirelessly in the toy box for like 4 days, compiling the worst and most horrific fucking evidence
you can imagine about.
If whatever nightmares I have ever had, and I have some fucking good ones, would never compare to the monstrosities found in that fucking cave. So she's compiling all this evidence against David and Cindy Hendy, right?
Yeah, and they find her along with a team of agents found videos like the ones that we've been playing. There was also torture videos, satanic ritual videos, and other things. David saying in 1993 video stating, grabbing a hooker is easier than grabbing a housewife. Some of the things that were found were so horrific that they've never been able to talk about publicly, which we kind of touched base on earlier when we were talking about that book that David kind of gave
that's
over.
in like some secret fucking FBI hidey hole.
However, we do know some things.
So like in the box, David had things that he liked to call his friends.
Yes.
So there were chains, whips, paddles, pulleys, leather belts, saw blades. Fucking let your fucking mind sit on that for a second. Fucking saw blades.
Wander into saw blades and torture.
Harnesses, handcuffs, ropes, super glue to glue ropes to a body to then later rip them off after it had dried. Fuck you.
Yeah. Ouch.
Owie.
Yeah.
God damn it. Wires,
needles, pins, screw clamps, nipple clamps, breast suction cups, metal bars, sandpaper, metal dildos,
wooden dildos.
Which reminds me of when we were talking way back, I think it was our last heavy hitter with Dean Coral. Remember we had one of our listeners and we were talking about making a bunch of different wooden dildos?
Oh my god, yes.
For different things. When I ran across wooden dildos, I was like, I suddenly feel so much more dirty for my conversation we had earlier at one point.
You're like, but then it actually exists.
Right.
So there was plastic, latex dildos, there was a branding iron, a cattle prod. And if you guys don't know how many volts that is, Google that shit. There were soldering irons, weighted lead sinkers. So like fishing
shit.
Yeah, like that you would. Oh god, I cannot with that.
Yeah.
So
fish hooks, which you already said.
What the fuck? Were they putting fish hooks in like chiny holes and weighting them?
I don't know, I think so. Or like through the nipples.
I don't like it.
I don't either. There was also a large yellow generator that had a handle and a 15-inch dildo fashioned to it.
No, 15 inches in length. Motherfucker was 6 inches in diameter.
Yeah. And you're running it off of a generator like a goddamn weird fucking chainsaw of torture most foul. Like a jackhammer. Nope.
6 inches at the base.
And the generator had 3 settings from buzz to probe, which, like we just said, would turn into a jackhammer.
Like that?
No, like 6 inches across. So like an average sized dick, if you were to lay it out lengthwise.
In diameter, so you make a circle.
No,
circle.
Diameter from one side of the circle to the other side was 6 inches.
Fuck you.
Yeah. So, also...
Oh my god, that just sunk in.
Right? And they actually had videos of David Parker Ray
My asshole just quivered. Like, I almost felt like I needed to poop. That scared me a little.
Yeah. This whole thing is so fucking terrifying.
I apologize to some of our listeners for what I just said. I realize that may have been just a little bit over the top, but I'm not gonna lie, dude. Like, my butthole just went, oh.
Yeah. Once I was hit with the realization of everything each time, dude. I still, like, got that feeling in your stomach where you're gonna, like, shit and throw up all
I'm not sure which end it's coming out of, but one side of me is going to erp.
Mm-hmm. And you're very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
Okay,
so welcome everybody else. Sit with us. We'll all be uncomfortable together.
Everybody hold us tight.
They also had a large
gynecological chair.
Yes, that could move back and forth and was equipped with hookups for shocking, which was one of Ray's favorite things to do.
Yeah, because he
loved
would
to
like,
shock.
Stick them on girls' nipples.
And precious pinks. And
yeah.
So David loved to shock women.
But he also, like, recorded it. Like, he had all of the technology sitting in there to record these things, and hence the fucking hundreds of homemade videos.
Yeah. Which is just crazy, especially if you consider it's like the 90s, but whatever.
Oh my god, they probably had that great big, like, shoulder-held thing on a tripod with the fucking VHS tapes.
The
Jesus
biggest
Christ.
fucking video recorder ever.
Yes.
And now everybody has that on their phone.
Right?
He would love technology
The fucking
now.
technology we have today. I know, and our kids are totally screwed because if you look at all the pictures I've been posting recently that my real dad shared with me, which I think are adorable, but the resolution is shit. Our kids are fucked. Our resolution's amazing.
It is.
It's digital. I have that forever.
Mm-hmm. And kids now are dumb and they post stupid shit that they should not. And I'm like, in 10 years, you're going to hate yourself.
Dude, I still get upset about the things I posted in 2009, and that wasn't that long ago, and I was an adult.
I get upset when I see pictures of my old eyebrows.
I get upset when I see your old eyebrows. I love you, and you're entirely too pretty to have those fucking things.
They were so bad.
Oh, that's okay. We all went through the phase. I did it too. I had the pencil thin, like, the half moon smiley Drew Barrymore things from, like, Never Been Kissed.
I had the weird, looked like a sperm.
The spermicles, the tadpoles. Yeah. I had tadpoles too at one point.
And they were, like, far. They were in an argument.
Yeah, your eyebrows looked like they got in a fucking argument in the car and were trying to sit as far away from each other as they could.
There was a bad fucking divorce going on.
All right.
Okay.
So, but then towards the back was like a medical cabinet. Mm-hmm. And there were items that the members of his cult would like supply, and they were just kind of described in the audio clip.
Right, which we're going to do right now, actually, for them.
Oh, for the dungeon?
Yes.
Okay, listen.
Now, the dungeon belongs to the church, and it's very well equipped. They spend a ton of money buying all sorts of specialized equipment. About anything I ask for. They even give me medical supplies to patch up girls in the event the high priest tears some slut's pussy with the big dildo. And that doesn't happen too often. One of my duties is to pre-stretch the girl's vagina so that the dildo won't tear it. There have been a few occasions where we've kidnapped a bitch and had to take her to the meetings that same evening. Usually when that happens, the devil's dick tears the fuck out of her vagina. Then I have to patch her up afterwards. A few years ago, there was a certain period of time we didn't do that. During that time, there were instances where the men caused so much vaginal damage that the girl hemorrhaged, sometimes didn't survive, and it caused problems with the congregation. Nobody likes watching a girl bleed to death.
So after listening to that, you can understand some of the things that might go into this thing, which were in there like latex gloves, forceps, rolls of cotton, KY and petroleum jelly, hypodermic syringes, a satanic shrine, which, okay, and a separate library full of like witchcraft and female anatomy books, and items to like stitch up their victims, and an array of like drugs that they often used, which we'll get into on the next episode. But he used a lot of like tranquilizers and heavy painkiller, like anesthesia type shit. But can we just talk about quote unquote the devil's dick? Because what the fuck is that?
Right. And being like, oh, you know, we don't like watching a girl bleed to death.
Huh?
So they're like, oh, we'll get you some fucking medical supplies, which if you have gyno table and you have medicine and you have stitching stuff, makes me wonder there has to be a medical professional that was obviously in the cult.
You'd be surprised, dude. It's like that fucking, what's that movie with Tom Cruise? Fucking Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I haven't seen that in so long.
Oh my God. I fucking love that movie, but like I get all the way to the end and I realize that they were like at the same fucking function. Yeah, it freaks me the fuck out. But like sometimes we don't have an opportunity to pre-stretch. Like, this isn't fucking yoga. You're not limbering up to take down a gazelle.
Right, and it's
a mucous membrane. Can you not touch? Or could you not pre-stretch it?
And when he was talking earlier about the satanic cult and talking about raping a girl like 40 to 50 times, and you're going to be laid down with your head tilted back and fucking dental guards put in so you can't bite down as people fuck your mouth as many times as they want. What? And why, after people found this out, where's the rest of the cult? That's what I want to know.
Why weren't...
I'm going to try to dive into that before we get to the end of this series to see if I can find some more information on that. Because
they're probably the same guys that fucking made, like, Bang Brothers and Braziers. Or not.
Probably. I also have my own speculation station of, I think that the one judge that we'll talk about in part 3, I think he was probably in the cult too. That's my own speculation, but that's because I just think that he was either the best judge in the world on making sure everything was fair, or
he was partial to somebody that was his fucking good old boy club.
Yep.
Yep.
So, we know that after this arrest, these are the things that they had found, and we'll talk about more about videos in particular, other things that were found. So, not too long after this, a woman, Angie
Montano,
was watching TV. She was watching the news on March 27th, and she hears that
Cindy Vigil, like, talks about her story of, like, rape, torture, blah, 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 but then she escaped.
And she's like, oh, I know this story because too well.
It was her, too. So she had been there.
Yeah, she goes to police to tell her encounter with David Parker Ray and how Angie relates to Cindy, except for Angie was inside the toy box.
Oh.
And she was taken just a month before Cindy had been. And nobody believed her, not even her boyfriend, until they were wretches.
The story fucking broke. And that took place March 22nd is when
the story broke.
David and Cindy were fucking arrested in 99. And that's when he was like, oh,
shit, you were right. I was wrong. But sadly, after facing all of the horrors that were inside the toy box, which we've only just touched the tip.
We've only just begun to rub it.
Yeah, we haven't even grabbed it and looked at it yet.
You grab it and you look it in the face.
We're just kind of gazing at it currently.
It's still under the sheet.
It is.
It's big. You can see it, but we haven't looked directly at it. It's like the sun. If you look right at it, it'll burn your retinas.
Need the special glasses.
Give me a
So what's sad about all of this is once we know more about the horrors, you'll be able to understand this a little bit more. But Patricia, the cop that we talked about that spent 4 days in and out of the toy box, she did nothing but work on the toy box. And she had to face everything. Horrors that we will never even know because it has not been released to us. It makes me sad. So on the night of April 2nd, 1999, just after midnight, after waking up from one of her bad, like, night terrors due to everything
all of
that
the
she
things
saw,
that she's fucking seen,
Patricia would walk downstairs, load her firearm, and fatally shoot herself, leaving behind a husband and children. And this proves that this monster could still capture lives even behind bars. And it's at this time that Jim Yance, who we'll get to know very well, will take over the case.
Right. And so this is where we're going to leave you guys. This is the end of David Parker Ray, the Toy Box Killer, Part 1. I hope you guys sit and stew about this for the next week because it was quite a bit of information.
So when we did Candyman, that kind of fucked with our male listeners a little bit.
Yeah, it did.
And with this one,
it's definitely more for a female.
Yeah.
Like, if this doesn't reach in and jab your soul in a bad way, you haven't got one.
Or any males that have daughters.
That too.
So we still have to talk about how another victim ends up being found who is alive. More arrests made, including David's daughter, Jessie, who we've talked about a little bit, and how she had gone from calling the cops to helping him out. And more evidence.
And some really, like, some real horrors, getting down into things where, like, maybe we should just leave you with this quote from Cindy Vahil.
Made on April 16th.
Where she talks about David Ray Parker, and he, quote, put gravy on me and let the dog lick it off. Mm-hmm. So just so you know where this is heading, and if you don't, or if you thought you did...
You have no idea.
Now you have a small glimmer. Like, that's literally like...
We're going to leave you with that thought of, he put gravy on me and let the dog lick it off.
It wasn't her elbow.
No. And because what we've already covered is fucked up. Part 2?
Yeah.
It just wait for next week. That's all I have to say. And I think...
That'll be the one that sinks the fucking Titanic. Like, anybody that thinks they're fucking sturdy enough to withstand this...
I mean, we're going to try to bring some humor so it's not as
I think we did pretty good about it today.
I think so, too.
But next week's a little bit rough.
And we're going to have some shout-outs, but then also we're going to play a couple promos from our friends. Mm-hmm. Our promos are from The Two Bobs and Kiwi Crimes. Mm-hmm. And so we love both of them very much.
Much love.
Much love.
Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Robert.
We're hosts of the Two Bobs podcast.
Check out our show at thetwobobs.com.
We talk about beer, food, weird news,
some pop culture, sports, and our obsession with technology.
and just general BS with our own brand of comedy and sarcastic wit.
Also, be sure to find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Two Bobs Podcast.
Kia ora, I'm Jess, the host of the Kiwi Crimes podcast. Each week, I'll share a missing persons or murder case from New Zealand. I discuss cases that are well known, as well as cases that you might not have heard of. Some cases will be recent and ongoing, others will be cold. A new episode or minisode releases every Wednesday. You can find Kiwi Crimes anywhere you get your podcasts. I hope you'll join me as I explore the crimes that rock New Zealand. Ka kite anō.
And we have a couple of shout-outs also. Corpus Derelicti.
Moms and Murder. And Mike from Let's Make a Cult. Now, we had said earlier, if you don't follow us on Twitter, you should, and you should also follow all of our friends, because the other day we were having this talk about food things on what, because I think it started out somewhere about, Mike asked what the fuck fry sauce was. And so I said, it's an abomination. And I explained it, and he's like, so like Russian dressing or Thousand Island?
Like,
I'm like,
no, like burger. I remember that when he was like, I think they call it like burger
sauce or something.
Yeah, burger sauce. And
I was like, It's not the same. It's not the same. I was like, it's like a lighter, sadder version for me. And I was like, Angel likes it. I do not. And then we got on to pumpkin spice, and then we got on all sorts of things. And some of the moms from Moms and Murder, one was like, I don't like fucking spaghetti, or like, we all went into this whole food war, and then cottage cheese got brought up, and then they wanted me to tell my cottage cheese story that I know. And then I told it, and they're like, we weren't ready for that. We don't like that.
We don't. Never mind. I don't like it. You know what, though? I don't. There's some things that I don't enjoy that people are like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Whipped cream. I fucking hate whipped cream.
I don't like whipped cream either.
In all forms of it. I don't like it. It shouldn't. The only reason that a whipped cream can has ever come near my body is because I'm probably huffing the fucking aerosol out of it. I'm not eating the whipped cream.
Every once in a while,
I'm hiding in the kitchen on Thanksgiving trying not to murder my in-laws while huffing fucking aerosol.
Whip it.
Yeah. Whip it good. Da-na-na-na-na. Crack that whip. Da-na-na-na-na.
I can sometimes do homemade whipped cream for my mother-in-law, but even then it's like, just a little,
just a wee dab.
Just a wee tab.
And so, speaking of wee dabs.
Yes, and we've already talked about him before, but again.
Mirths and Monsters, our little Scottish friend.
And maybe we're just in love with him because he has the coolest fucking voice I have ever heard.
And he's got a fucking dog named Finnegan.
Yes.
Finn.
And I just want him to narrate my life.
Oh my god, dude, if he just walked around and said, or like if that was my inner monologue, I wish the voice in my head had that accent, I would probably hate less people.
Me too. You can't be mad around a Scottish person. They have the coolest voices ever.
I'm on the horse. So there's also,
don't forget to stalk us on all of our places.
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
All at Call Me Dead Pod or podcast.
Yeah.
You can Google us, we'll pop
really,
right up.
it does. Now that we are making more friends, if you Google Color Me Dead, we're like one of the third things that pop up.
That
it's
makes
pretty
me
fucking
happy.
Yeah, dude.
That's pretty cool.
Sometimes I just do it to make myself feel special throughout the day when I remember that I'm just a low-paid fucking office whore. I'm like, well, you know what? I'm the third thing that pops up on fucking Google. So
I'm pretty cool.
I've been Googling myself.
If you want some of our merch, you can head over to colormedeadpod.threadless.com.
Yes.
I couldn't think of what the fucking...
I saw it happening.
I almost said period threadless. And I was like, but that's not right.
The only thing that stops a what is it? The only thing that stops a sentence? No,
period doesn't do anything except for stop a sentence.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I just fucked up the whole joke.
It's okay.
Damn it.
God damn it.
So, but then maybe...
Email us?
colormedeadpodcast@gmail.com if you have any questions, comments, concerns, emotional fucking outbursts. And if it's an emotional outburst, I'd prefer that you, put that one in, like, regarding Ember. She'll answer that.
I'll try, or I might just be like, I don't know how to help.
We'll just open it up and be like, oh, they're upset.
Hear me out, I'm sorry.
We didn't get that one.
I'm sorry I'm awkward. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm sorry that we talked about awful things. Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. You should know by now. I guess we...
So don't, overpluck your eyebrows and stay out of chocolate lines?
Yeah, I like that. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, goodbye.
Goodbye.
As for escaping, I'm sure you'll try to figure out a way. That's human nature. But it's not hardly even worth talking about here. It would not be prudent on our part to have you running around the woods screaming rape. It would be an embarrassment, to say the least. You are going to be kept in an environment that's even more secure than a prison cell. Face it. You can't get away. You can't say no. You're going to be naked all the time. You won't be able to struggle or resist. You're going to have to lay there and take it, good or bad, no matter what is being done to you. A scary thought? Yes, but there are no options. Nothing you can say or do will change the fact that it's going to happen to you. Many girls beg and plead. Almost all of them are crying a lot, especially during the first 3 or 4 days. And some of them scream and threaten. But I have a poster in the playroom that says it all. If they're worth taking, they're worth keeping. And I'm going to tell you, just so you know, since you're being kept here against your will, we will never trust anything you say, do, or promise. You are a potential threat to us and will always be treated as such. On numerous occasions, bitches have told me that they will do anything I wanted them to do if I'd just take the chains off. I've been offered ransom money. I've even had girls tell me that they liked it. But I like to use chains. Money is not that important, and the masochists are rare as hell. I wonder what your scam's gonna be. Not anything that I haven't heard before.
Ashes, we are